has been found guilty of murder. Now, they had the option, not Austin, Carmelo Anthony, not Austin. Austin Metcalf is the victim. Carmelo Anthony is the suspect, but now the convicted. So I don't know. I don't feel confident, and I never felt confident that he absolutely had to take a life in self-defense. From the little I've heard, now I didn't sit in on the jury, so I'm not going to say that he was guilty or I felt confident he was guilty, but I am going to say I didn't feel confident he was not guilty. I did not feel confident he was not guilty, because I'm hearing stuff like he told a guy, if you put your hands on me again, you're going to see, you're going to find out. So it almost sounds like he was, he was carrying a weapon, and he was pretty much letting those individuals know, you're going to fuck around and find out. And apparently they did something else, and he ended up stabbing him. That's what I heard. I'm not on the jury, so I can't speak on it. But I'm not going to rush and say this is self-defense. I get that there is a racial angle of this, and that's where a lot of people are running to, is the racial angle of it. Make no mistake about it. If this was two black kids, one stabbed the other, or two white kids, one stabbed the other, this case would be irrelevant in the eyes of most Americans. The only reason why this case is making national news is because there's a racial angle to it. No different than if Austin Metcalf had shanked Carmelo Anthony. In fact, I think things would have been worse in terms of civil unrest if the victim was Carmelo Anthony and the suspect or the convicted was Austin Metcalf. I think it would even be worse. But I don't expect maybe some light protest. And I've had folks ask me, what do you think? You think they're going to be, you think there's going to be riots behind this? I don't think so. This is not seeing. Now, listen, if we had video footage of Carmelo Anthony getting stomped, AKA American History X style, he's getting curb stomped and all that, and he pulls out his weapon and defends himself and then gets convicted of a heinous crime like murder, I think then, yes, you would have problems. But in this case, it doesn't seem like Carmelo Anthony took much of an ass beating at all. It seemed like he switched to knife pretty quick. The claim is he had to use it in self-defense, and they were jumping him or whatever the case may be. Like I said, there's not a lot of video of that actually happening, and there doesn't seem like he took a lot of lumps or anything. It looks like he used his weapon pretty early on in the conflict, and that may have something to do with it. Amanda says, don't think intent was to murder, but not innocent either. Yeah, I think murder is a heavy charge. I think I would have expected them to take manslaughter, but they went with murder. I don't think Carmelo Anthony intended to take the life of Austin Metcalf, but I do wonder. I do question whether what he did was absolutely necessary in terms of self-defense. It does, like I said, it doesn't sound like he was taking a beating when he done this, which is where the issues are. By the way, I'm going to need you folks to tap the screen on TikTok so we can take the first caller and get us up to 10,000. Amanda says, yeah, I think manslaughter was definitely more appropriate. Yeah, I do too, which is why I'm suggesting that they shouldn't go over, I'd say 10 to 15 at best. I don't think he should get life for this. I don't feel confident saying that Carmelo Anthony was innocent. I don't feel confident saying that the late Austin Metcalf did absolutely nothing wrong. It ain't like he was just sitting there and Carmelo came up and shanked him. He was involved in it. He just got more than he probably deserved, in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. I believe he may have got more than he deserved. 25 minimum, is that what you're saying, Mike? That in Texas, if you're found guilty of murder, you get a minimum of 25 years? Wow. Do they have a day for day, or if you serve? I guess all of that got to be taken into play. If you're serving time, can you get out early for good behavior and all of that? To me, 25 is excessive for this. I think 25 is excessive. Amanda on Clapper is saying they said it can be anywhere from 5 to 99 years. 5 is too light. 99 is ridiculous. I believe in the best show on Clapper, the handsome liberal. Appreciate that, handsome conservative. Trump got booed so hard last night. That's what I was going to talk about. I was going to discuss what folks' opinions were on whether or not the jury would come back with a guilty verdict or not on Karmelo Anthony. And I had a different graphic prepared and everything. They came back with this verdict really quick. So it is what it is. Like I said, I didn't watch, or I didn't follow the trial very closely, but I'm just saying from what I heard, I'm not 100% sure that I feel confident stating that Karmelo Anthony is innocent, but I'm not 100% sure I would say he's guilty and deserves murder. I think the manslaughter charge fits right in the slot of where he probably should have got based on what I've heard. Looking in the comments, only the dumb black liberals thought that boy was innocent, says, and that sounds kind of racist there, Creed, because I can tell you with confidence, everybody that thought Karmelo was innocent is not black. I can tell you that. And they're not all dumb either. I mean, your statement sounds very intolerant, to say the least. But continuing on, he got exactly what he wanted, says Savage. I don't know if you think Karmelo Anthony wanted this? I'm 100% sure Austin Metcalf is dead. I am too. I'm 100% sure he's dead. But I don't feel 100% confident that Austin Metcalf was just an innocent dude sitting there and got stabbed. I don't feel confident saying that. I do believe Austin Metcalf was acting in an aggressive manner, maybe not one worthy of him losing his life, but I don't believe that dude was just sitting there and Karmelo just walked up and plunged the knife into his chest. I don't buy that. Austin Metcalf he was involved in a skirmish with Karmelo Anthony. But does that mean the skirmish was worthy of deadly force? I'm going to err on the side of probably not, which is why I say that Anthony probably is worthy of at least a manslaughter charge. That's my opinion. Unlike Karmelo, Jeremy, I see you in the comments. And Amanda said 5 to 99 years. Yeah, hopefully they don't give him 99 years. I don't see Karmelo as an irredeemable person. I would say 10, 15. What is he? 19 now. If he does 15 solid, he gets out at 34. That's plenty of time to get your life back in order. I mean, even with the way we treat felons in this country, hell, he could run for president. You never know. We're pretty light on felons now. He could run for president. Anyway, but it's no laughing matter. Like I said, I personally believe that Karmelo Anthony overreacted. That's just from what I've seen so far. As soon as a judge allowed the provocation clause, that removed self-defense. Well, I thought the minute I heard, and I said this on the program, the minute I heard them say that the jury was all white, in my opinion, he was not going to be found not guilty. That's just, you killed a white dude in a red. Look, if you're African American, you guys can dispel whether racism exists in 2026 or not. That's up to you. But I'm going to give you my opinion. You can state yours in the comments, and when I bring you up. By the way, tap the damn screen so I can take the first call and get us up to 10,000. I'll tell you this. This is my view on it. You're in a red state, a very, very red state like Texas. You're an African American. You've taken the life of a white person. None of the incident is on video, and the jury's all white. That's an uphill battle. I'm just going to tell you that. That is an uphill battle every day of the week and twice on Sunday. To get a not guilty verdict with all of that going against you, like I said, it's an uphill battle every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Red state, white victim, all white jury. You're the only African American in the equation. And the taking of the life is not on video. You're not gonna escape that, in my opinion. I never thought I absolutely never thought that Metcalf was going to walk, or Anthony rather, Carmelo Anthony. I never thought he was going to walk. It doesn't matter what color life you took or what color that life was. Called human life is valuable. It does matter in America, though. I agree with your statement that it should not matter. I agree with you 100%. But in America, the color of the victim has always mattered. It's always mattered. Does it matter 100%? Does it matter, or better yet, is it as relevant as it was in 1950? No, but it still matters. It still matters. And Creed, I'll take that comment every day. Creed says, "Here you go about to show your racism." Damn right. If I bring up or I indicate that racism still exists in some form in America, if by saying that, yes, racism still exists in some avenues in this country, if by saying that makes me racist, then I'll take that comment as a badge of honor. I'm not going to go around and pretend like that shit don't happen at all. Are you crazy? You guys are claiming on the right that you're not getting jobs because of DEI or because of affirmative action. So even the white people are claiming racism exists. But when an African American does it, now something's wrong? Okay, I'll take that, Creed, any day. Appreciate your input, by the way. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 10,000. Looking in the comments, why did he take the life of the white guy? The story goes that he sat under you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but he sat under a tent or something like that. And it was the opponents or something like that. These other guys, when he sat under their tent, they told him, "You can't sit under here." They wanted him to go, and that's what caused this whole skirmish to break out. And it got physical. And according to the convicted, they started beating his ass, or at the very least attempting to beat his ass, leading him to act in self-defense with lethal force. Go figure. That's what the claim is. Obviously, the jury did not buy it, and he has been convicted of murder. That's what happened. About time you're sounding black, Takesha. I'm not saying nothing I don't always say. I don't deny. You're never going to hear me say on this show, no matter what issue we're discussing, you're never going to hear me say that racism in America is 100% eradicated and gone. That is fucking bullshit. I mean, if you watch social media, you're catching people in traffic, Karens, fucking road rages, and people are yelling the N-word at other people every damn day. You see cops getting fired from the force in various cities and counties because they're using racism and emails and shit. There's no way in hell we're going to pretend like this shit don't exist. There is a mountain of evidence to suggest it still exists in a lot of corners and backwood areas. Is it in our laws as bad as it was in 1950? No, I'm not going to pretend like it's that to that point. I'm not going to pretend like we haven't made significant progress over the last 70 years or so since MLK was around. I'm not going to pretend like it's still that bad, but I damn sure ain't going to pretend like it doesn't exist. That's bullshit. Looking in the comments, you're misstating there's no evidence of anybody beating him up or threatening to beat him up when the Contra, they said they wouldn't fight him. Well, I'm telling you, that's what is being alleged. I didn't say there were evidence of anybody beating him up. I've clearly said it's not on camera. And I just stated that was his claim and the jury didn't buy it. Where's the misstatement? That is what the convicted is stating, is that he had to defend himself and they were trying to attack him. That is what the defendant is stating. And like I said, obviously the jury didn't buy it and he has now been convicted of murder. Looking in the comments, let me go back to the box. And you guys are correct in stating, I didn't watch the full trial, but we'll go to Jeremy to start the show out. Some of you folks tap the screen, get the lights on up. You making claims that give me you the perfect guy, Jeremy. Give me the claim that I'm backpedaling on.
Okay, here's what you're doing. Right now, what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, well, you're trying to make a little technical thing here where you're trying to say, you're like, well, this is what is being alleged. But you're saying it in such an absurd, in like an affirmative way that anyone listening thinks that you believe it.
How do you say it? Wait, how do you allege something? How do you allege something in an affirmative way versus alleging in a non-affirmative way? What are you talking about?
Context. The context you're using right now is you're making it sound like, this is like when you were talking earlier, you were basically saying, this is what this is why Karmelo doesn't deserve to get life in prison.
And, I still say that. I still say that.
Yeah, I know. But you're doing it on something you just admitted didn't get confirmed to happen, which is that he was being threatened by Austin.
No, I haven't even heard the victim's family say, my child was just sitting there and this guy came up and plunged a knife in his chest. The deceased was actively involved in this. I'm not saying he deserved to lose his life, but he wasn't just sitting there being an innocent guy and all of a sudden somebody plunged a knife in his chest.
He was 100% innocent. He did not.
What was he doing at the time he got shanked?
He was trying to tell him to leave. That's all he did. He did not put his hands on him. There's no evidence of that.
So he's just standing there saying, you got to go, and the guy walks up and shanks him.
Yeah. You know what? I'm fucking sick of people like you who are so racist.
Take some medicine, goddammit. This is a free speech program.
I'm gonna finish what I have to say. I'm sick of people.
Feel free to finish, but for your sickness, take some medicine. Finish your statement.
I'm sick of people like you who are so racially motivated that you will blindly follow anybody who's black as just innocent and by default without ever holding them ever accountable. Listen, if someone in the Hispanic community or the white community, because I have family in both, does something bad, I'll say, okay, you did something bad. If you did something actually bad, fuck you. Go to prison.
Okay.
You deserve it.
Okay, now your words were
blinded by it.
Okay, now your words were, I'm thinking somebody who's so racially motivated, you would blindly follow somebody as innocent. Not fucking once have I said he was innocent. In fact, I said he at least deserves a manslaughter charge. You ain't listening to shit. You so anti-comments about racism that you just formed an opinion based on nothing I said. Not once have I said this dude was innocent.
Yeah, but you wish he was innocent.
You said innocent. You didn't say nothing about. Now you're adding wish in there. Am I the one that's doing? You're accusing me of doing shit, and then you're doing all of the same shit you accuse me of. I didn't say nothing what you're talking about. Now I didn't say any of what you're saying.
All right, let me correct myself.
Please do. Please do.
Here's what it is. It sounds like because you know that you're gonna look pretty bad for calling this kid innocent. You can't say that. So instead you say, well, he doesn't deserve life in prison. Yes, he does.
But that's honest. Well, the minute you say it sounds like, that's your opinion. I feel confident that this dude probably deserved a manslaughter charge, but I wouldn't agree with life. That ain't no sounds like. That's what the fuck I'm saying. I don't sounds like. That's your opinion.
My opinion is that you wish that he didn't get any punishment at all.
And you wish that they would put him in an electric chair.
No, I wish that he would be in jail for his whole life.
No, and I don't wish what you're saying either. So we're getting our wishes wrong. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, real quick, Tim. I want to ask both of you the same question. Did either one of you follow the case and read the transcripts as they were being released?
No, I did not.
You hear me?
I did read the transcripts, but I followed the case.
Okay, cool. If you didn't read the transcripts, please do me a favor, and you don't have to listen to me at all. Don't get up here and say what Austin didn't do because you don't know. If you read the transcripts, you would have known that he absolutely touched him. He absolutely pushed him. He did. The prosecution's witnesses testified to it. Matter of fact, they all testified that he touched with one hand, he touched with two hands, it was soft, it was sort of, but it's clear he touched him. Period. And if you followed the case, he didn't have to touch him. This is the same thing. This is the same. Hold on. And Duke, as you child toucher, please go away because you should be spending more time than Karmelo.
Let me just say this. Hold on, Mike. Hold on. Let me just say this in regards to you, Jeremy. One of the things I heard is that after he touched the convicted, he told him, "You're gonna see what happens if you touch me again." So yeah, the idea that he never put his hands on him, I don't think anybody's claiming that but you, Jeremy.
Nobody. It wasn't testified to. And let's be clear, Tim. I followed and read all of it. Every matter of fact, I was up until what? 4:30 this morning. Because here's the problem with this case. This is why I believe he's going to win on appeal.
I don't think that's going to happen though. But keep going.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why, Tim. They hit it with murder 1, which was intentionally and knowingly, right?
Oh, so you're taking a George Zimmerman angle where they probably they overdid it.
They overdid it. They overdid it, and I think that's going to come back and bite them in the ass because when the judge allowed provocation to come in and they said they have to meet all 3 claims, and you have not one of 3, all 3 to convict. They came back that fast. They already knew what they were going to do. They already knew what they were going to do. Now, I do think he'll win on appeal because there's some consistencies that don't align with intent and knowing. You see, this is what I mean. When people don't go read the case, there are people that are on the right, and it shouldn't be political, on the right going, I thought they overcharged them. When they added the manslaughter case, they were like, okay, maybe that, but they never thought that he would get convicted on M1.
Let me ask you, do you agree with me in saying that he probably is a good candidate for manslaughter? From what I've heard, I think he's worthy of manslaughter.
I think if you had to pick between the two, I think yes. But here's where the law doesn't work in the favor of minorities, and it is what it is. You were spot on, Tim. In Texas, you don't have any duty to retreat. So the whole conversation about why didn't he just leave?
Mike?
When they asked him the whole why did he just leave? That shit is irrelevant.
Mike, you're going in and out.
Yeah, but he had no business being there in the first place. And no, Austin never put his hands on him. That's a lie.
Yeah, you're the only one saying that, Jeremy. Hold on, Mike. Hold on. Jeremy, you're saying it's a lie that Austin put his. Where are you getting that information from? Because I don't think anybody, even on the side of the prosecution, is claiming he never touched him. Where are you getting that from?
I watch enough of the news to know.
So on the news, are people claiming he never touched them?
Yeah.
I'd have to see that because I think it was established from day one that they were touching the dude. It just wasn't, in my opinion, violent enough to justify killing him.
They lied about that, and they also lied about the idea that Austin was being that Karmelo was being surrounded by people. There was no one surrounding him, and all the eyewitnesses testified to that.
So,
Jeremy, let me say this, Tim. Let me say this. This is the problem with not reading the transcripts in the testimony. You have one, and remember, this is beyond a reasonable doubt. You have one particular kid testify that he was invited over to the tent.
He was never invited.
How do you know?
Again, Tim, he's just going by how he feels. Yeah. They literally testified in court. That Eddie invited him over.
Jeremy, you started out so angry about how I'm viewing this, and you're doing all the same shit. You are deep in your emotions, man. I can tell you are. We talk all the time. You deep in your emotions on this. Continue, Mike.
Well, here's in his feelings because it was testified that Eddie waved him over because him and Eddie are friends. And Eddie waved him over. And one of the prosecution witnesses said when Hunter walked up and said, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm nobody." And he said, "You need to leave." And then Karmelo said, "You're the only one over here that has a problem with me being here." That was testified to in court. So don't tell me what they didn't say. Don't tell me because I've read all of it. You haven't, Jeremy. So, Jeremy, just go read it. So you don't come up here and say this shit out of emotion. You're emotional. None of that was testified to. It wasn't.
Yeah, I'll admit I don't know all the details, but I think it's been established since this whole thing happened months ago that Austin Metcalf did touch the dude because he stated, let me ask you, didn't he say something like, if you do it again, you're going to see what happens or something like that?
Yeah, he said touch me and see what happens. And then he touched him on the shoulder, and then he said, punch me and see what happens. Now, they testified to that. They testified to that in court, Tim. Now, here's the thing that I want you to pay attention to, Tim, about this case. That's why I said I think he's going to win on appeal. No, they knew that wasn't the first time Karmelo had been under the tent at Memorial with that team because he knows Eddie. Him and Eddie's friends. Him and Eddie been knowing each other. The funny thing is, when all of this happens, all of these students testify to everything they saw, but they don't remember the one witness saying what he said about Eddie inviting him over. Eddie invited him over. They all said, matter of fact, they testified to this too. This is the big part. One of the prosecution witnesses said, Austin can be intimidating if you don't know him. Right?
Okay.
Austin can be intimidating if you don't know him, and Hunter doesn't tolerate disrespect. That was testified to in court. That Hunter, the one twin, doesn't tolerate disrespect, and Austin can be intimidating if you don't know him. That it was testified in court. So how can you say that those two things happened? You say that Austin was being that Karmelo was being disrespectful, and they did nothing? And they did nothing?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here, man.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What evidence would it take for you to condemn Karmelo as a murderer? What evidence
He wasn't.
Well,
no, just answer the question. What if
intent? I'll answer it. Intent, that he intended to take the man's life. That's what the jury was instructed, which is why Mike is saying it's probably going to be reversed on appeal. Is that he intended to take a life? I believe he intended to hurt. Because maybe he thought in his mind it was self-defense. I don't agree necessarily that he had to do what he did, but I don't think the intent to murder was there, which is why I'm saying manslaughter.
And they can't improve intent because you can't say he went there looking for Austin. He didn't know him. You can't say he went under the tent looking for trouble. He was only under the tent because of the weather conditions, and Eddie invited him over. So and that was testified to in court. Why the fuck? That didn't come up. I thought the defense did a terrible job.
Well, they didn't let him testify. Let me ask you, Jeremy, do you believe he went over there intending to kill somebody?
I don't think you have to in order for it to be considered murder.
That's what they were told. I believe that's what the jury was instructed.
Let me explain. There are forms of murder out there that are not murder one.
Manslaughter.
Murder one, and it would be what's the word?
Premeditation in Texas isn't what murder when it's only with capital murder in Texas, Jeremy. Oh.
Yeah. I think in some cases the other lower level Jeremy could be manslaughter in certain states. That's what I'm saying, manslaughter. I believe that he killed a guy and I believe he's culpable for it. I don't believe he intended to do it though. That's what I'm saying. I don't think, just like let's say you play some stupid game where you're going down the street and punching people in the head. Just punching you, and somebody dies because of it. You weren't trying to kill him. You done something stupid. You damn sure should be held accountable. But killing them was not the intention.
Now, let me tell you this, Tim. And again, either the defense is terrible or they're brilliant. And here's what I mean. If they would have taken a plea deal, you can't appeal it, right? You can't appeal a plea deal. If you get sentenced to M1 and you go to an appellate and win, it's over with. They throw it out, you go home. They can't say, now we'll give you manslaughter. It doesn't work that way.
You really think this dude is going to end up winning on an appeal and walking? In Texas? In Texas?
And again, Tim, I'm only saying that because I'm looking at how they walk through this evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. They charge him with murder, intent, and knowingly, and I didn't see or hear them prove that at all. I didn't. See
I'm not arguing with you, Mike. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying this is Texas.
Yeah, do I trust it? I don't give a fuck what state it's in, honestly. But do I trust the system? No, I don't. But the best chance he has, and there's two other cases in Texas that they'll be able to refer to, where the person was sentenced for murder and they won it on appeal. It was very similar. It was a stabbing case,
and in Texas, he got convicted, and then he went on appeal and he got out in Texas. So I'm not running around here, setting up a table so when he gets out, everybody has dinner for him. But I am saying this. I am saying that if you guys just look at the detail and take everything out of it, you got to question how we got here other than bias. It's just simple as that. It's just simple as that, Tim. And another thing.
Wait a minute. What bias? He did kill somebody, man. What do you mean by how do we get here other than bias? If it was 2 white kids or 2 black kids involved in this, I still think the person who stabbed the other kid would be charged. I don't think self-defense would have been something easy to swallow if there was no racial element involved in this at all. I still think that person would have had to fight in court.
Again, Tim, first of all, if you switch this around, this never goes to court.
If Austin Metcalf takes Karmelo Anthony's life?
Man, if you switch this, man, come on, Tim. This is Texas.
I'm not 100%. I agree with you that is less likely, but I'm not totally sure of that. Now he may not have been convicted of murder if he was white.
If you switch it around, Metcalf gets the electric chair.
What?
Yeah, I don't buy it. Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't
If
buy
you
it.
have no proof of that, point me to a case where a black person or a white person unalived, you think that Karmelo Anthony, that Metcalf would have got the electric chair if he would have unalived Karmelo Anthony? Is that what you're saying?
Black privilege.
I don't know if it's hard to find cases where a white person has killed a black man and they got the death penalty. Jeremy, I mean, I know when the guys dragged the African American guy down in Texas back in the 90s, they dragged the guy until his body just disintegrated. And Jesse Jackson and all them were on that case. Those 2 guys did get executed. At least one of them did, I know, in that case. But finding a white person that has killed a black person and got the death penalty, you make it sound like that's guaranteed to happen. I don't know what you're basing that on.
Man, Dylan Roof had to kill 8 or 9 of us to get it.
Yeah, I don't know what he's basing that on because that has happened in the real world and that hasn't.
Wait a minute. Had to? I guarantee if he knocked off one black person, Dylan Roof would have done.
Then just pull up a case and show me then.
That's what I'm saying. Show me the cases.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't have the cases right off the back of my head.
You don't have to do it today, Jeremy. Next time you come on the live, have one of those cases to show us. You don't have to do it today. I don't expect you to know it off the top of your head, but since you're so convicted in this emotionally, show us where the system in this country has ever not favored white men. Just show me.
Okay, next time I come up, I will.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to present that. A white person that killed a black man and got.
Here's one example I can kind of think of. What about OJ?
I'm glad you brought OJ up. The only reason OJ got off because white folks were so hell bent on getting him convicted, they fucked up. When Mark Furman went up there and said he never said nigga, and they pulled out a recording of him saying nigga all the time, he got discredited and he was one of the star witnesses. So let's be clear.
It's because they wanted revenge on Rodney King.
No. You just asked me. I just told you.
Hold on. Let me just say something. If O.J. Simpson was not a Hall of Fame NFL player with millions of dollars and he was just Orenthal James, the bus driver, that dude would have died in prison. They ain't got nothing to do with what did he say? Revenge for Rodney King. That shit was because O.J. Simpson could afford a lawyer like Johnny Cochran that was really good. If he was working with a public defender, he would have died in California prison. It's as simple as that.
I don't believe that for a second.
Show me all of these. That's why Mike is telling you, and I'm agreeing with Mike, Jeremy. Show me all of these black people that are killing white folks and just getting away with it. Well, I don't know where, or these white people that are killing blacks and they're getting the death penalty. Show me, you need to show me your work because you're telling me 2 + 2 is 5. I need to see how you've done this equation. I'm going to mail you an abacus because I need to see how you're coming to these answers. That don't make sense.
I'll give you this. That was a funny comment about the abacus. I'll give you that.
Tell me something that look, I'm willing to concede that sometimes the African American community points to racism where it's not happening. But the way you're responding is you're doing it in the opposite direction. He was doing some wild shit.
What about when like everyone was getting behind Mike Brown? You know, hands up, don't shoot, which shouldn't even happen.
What do you mean?
He's talking about in Ferguson, Missouri. He was saying he had his hands up and the guy shot him, and the investigation showed that Mike Brown was a bad guy. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, no, he never had his hands up.
Wait a minute. So
you guys don't remember that? Like literally.
I remember because I was in Ferguson a couple of days after it happened. I remember it.
Yeah, like literally the impact of the bullets were impossible for someone who had their hands up and not shooting. The hands up without a firearm and not moving to have impacted the body.
Again, you see how far you're reaching to prove your point?
How is that a reach? And like literally, BLM was like all out in the streets because of it. It's getting violent and shit and everything.
Yep.
I don't even.
Well, you see, here's the problem. Here's the problem, Jeremy. The sad part is we have to go on the streets. We have to protest because you see how the court systems don't protect us at all. Listen, Jeremy, if you want to have a real conversation, now I'm being 100% genuine. Go read the transcripts. Just read the transcripts, bro.
I gotta move it on, gentlemen. I do gotta move it on.
If you're an honest broker, you'll come back and say there's some inconsistency there, Michael. You're right. And that alone should have been.
I think the number one thing you need to hold on, Jeremy. I think the number one thing you need to read, because you said Austin Metcalf never touched Karmelo Anthony. Start there, because you're making it sound like this guy just got shanked for no reason. He wasn't doing nothing. He just walked up and plunged a knife in his chest. I think you need to start there. I got to move it on. I'll let you get the last word, Jeremy.
Before I go, you know what? Mike has been reasonable in the past. So I'll actually go and read those transcripts and then I'll come back.
All right. Gentlemen.
All right, y'all.
Appreciate it. Tap the screen, get the lights on up if you will. It's not a good day for Karmelo Anthony. That's all I can say. Not a good day. Not going to probably be a good decade. Now, my last guest, Mike, is suggesting, because they overcharged him in his opinion, that he could likely win on appeal. I'm not confident of that. Even if Mike is right, I'll have to see how it comes out. But even if Mike is right, I'm not confident of that at all, just because of the location. It's kind of like when you're trying to sell a house or purchase a home. Location. The location makes a look. If this was happening in a northern state, Philadelphia, somewhere like that, Texas, not so much. And I'm not here to look. I'll entertain the comments that we're in a post-racial America and it doesn't matter where you commit a crime, or it doesn't matter what your skin color is. They're going to treat you the same anywhere you're at. I'll entertain the comment, but I think it's bullshit. There's no way in hell I think that if you are a person of color and you're accused of a violent felony against a white person, that it would make no difference if that happens in a left-leaning state versus a right-leaning state. I absolutely do believe that makes a difference. I absolutely do. Looking in the comments, Texas is their own people to some degree. The conversation is getting to be way off. Pace and stupidity, it's not what happened here, and this is a ridiculous conversation. I don't know what you mean by pace and stupid. Don't know what the hell that even means, what you're referring to. The trickster makes women see their man is okay. Don't know what that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. The guy Mike's talking right now is ridiculous. Has no idea what he's talking about. He's talking out of his ass. Okay. And I'm assuming you believe the other guy who said that Austin Metcalf never touched the guy. I'm assuming you believe that's accurate. Okay. You can believe that, but I'm going to think that you're talking out of your ass if you do believe that. Tap the screen, get the lights on up, help your boy with the hat, mustache, TikTok, cap goals. We can talk about the other shit that's in the news if we don't want to just run this, because this wasn't what I was going to do a live on. It was going to be obviously Trump at the Knicks game, falling asleep, by the way, getting booed while the national anthem was playing, which is, and Devo, appreciate the drum roll. Thank you very much. Is it wrong to boo a president? Because they booed the hell out of Trump when he was on television. By the way, they're indicating he violated flag code. When the anthem is playing, you put your hand over your heart. You don't salute. So he violated the flag code. So you can put Trump in the same category, I guess, as Colin Kaepernick. He was saluting when the anthem was playing. So they did bring that up. But is it wrong to boo a president, or disrespectful at least? Disrespectful to boo the president. And by the way, in regards to the Iran war, which is obviously still ongoing, too, we can certainly talk about that as well. Did you know that Trump has stated we are close to an agreement with Iran 37 times? 37 different times Trump has said we're real close to having a deal with Iran. That ain't the boy who cried wolf. That's just some motherfucker walking down the street crying constantly. 37 times. I haven't counted them all, so I can't verify that. I saw it on the news program. So I'm not 100% sure if the 37 number is accurate, but he has said it so fucking much that I'm not 100% sure is inaccurate. We know Trump has been saying that Iran is begging for a ceasefire and that we're getting close to a deal for weeks. How many times has he said it? 37. Wow. Kel Brew, appreciate the TikTok cap. Thank you very much. Knicks fans said Trump caused them to lose. I bet they won't be booing him at Game 4. Well, then I saw an announcement that Trump is not going to Game 4. I heard that he's claiming scheduling issues, but I did read something that said he's not going to Game 4. So we'll see how that works. Carmelo Anthony is getting a chair. I hope that ain't gonna happen, Sky. The Sky business or something like that. He's not getting the death penalty. I think they had already taken that off the table, so that's not gonna happen. The Knicks can't blame Trump, says Debo. Look, most sports fans are superstitious. Tap the screen, get us up to 10,000. We'll take the next caller. Most sports fans are superstitious. I was watching the Cubs pursuing their first World Series ever back in the early 2000s when Bartman is his name. I can't remember the first name of the guy, but he reached over and prevented one of the Cubs outfielders from catching the ball. And everybody believed that was the curse. And the Cubs did not make the World Series that year. In fact, they didn't make it to 2016. So they didn't make it for years after that. And people believed he fucked things up so bad that they had to get him out of the stadium with security. People wanted his ass. They wanted his hide. So sports fans are superstitious. Goats and all kinds of shit you see people doing, they are superstitious. So it was already being said before Trump went to the game, when he made it clear he was going to the game, that the Knicks might lose because he was going to be at the game. And they were on a pretty significant playoff winning streak. They were on a pretty big winning streak. So I'm not here to pretend like Trump had anything to do with them losing the game, but I'm just saying sports fans are superstitious. You think if they weren't on the same winning streak and Obama or Biden went to the game, are we going to pretend like MAGA wouldn't have said the same shit? That if all of a sudden a team that's on a winning streak lost and Obama or Biden showed up to the game for the first time, you're going to tell me MAGA wouldn't have said the same stuff? So it is what it is. I'm not saying that Trump caused the Knicks to lose the damn game, but I'm saying that fans are superstitious and they would have done the same thing. The right would have been doing the same thing if it was Obama or Biden there. How many people were killed every day for pushing and shoving? So lots of people get their life taken for pushing or shoving. If you're in the hood on a basketball court, it's not uncommon to foul somebody on a basketball court in the inner city, and that shit escalates all the way up to homicide. Lots. Or in bars. Man, that's my woman. Quit fucking with my woman. You smack the guy's hand away or something like that. All it takes is for two people to both have no de-escalation skills. And the mildest of incidents can turn all the way up to homicide. If neither person backs down, it goes from a touch to a slap to a punch to somebody pulling out a weapon and a loss of life. That's all it takes. Happens a lot. So when you ask one of the guys here that's constantly saying that Carmelo Anthony should be fried is trying to say, well, nobody gets killed from shoving and pushing. Bullshit. A lot of people do. It's a lot of folks that have, that are either pushing up daisies or spending the rest of their life behind bars because just think about road rage accidents. That's kind of the same shit. A tiny fender bender. Sometimes the cars don't even touch. Motherfuckers kill somebody because he cut me off in traffic and they don't get out of the car. He cut me off. So they arguing at each other and before you know it, somebody's dead. It don't take much at all. It just takes two people with little to no de-escalation skills and the worst can happen. Jay Sid said, what magical charm does Trump possess that he can say 37 times no one else can do and still be loved and hold mind control over the people? That's where the cult mentality stuff comes into mind. I don't know. I don't know why MAGA is still riding on Trump's coattails when it comes to the Iran war, because he has indeed said so many things that have not come to fruition or just appear to be flat out false. I mean, Iran just fired missiles at Israel, 2 days ago? Trump's been claiming they're begging for a ceasefire the whole time. They clearly are not doing that. They clearly have never been begging Trump for a ceasefire. That was just a lie. That wasn't something he thought was happening, something he misinterpreted. That was just a flat out lie that Iran was begging for a ceasefire. They clearly are not doing that. And they clearly never were doing that. It's kind of just like him saying Iran bombed that school full of those girls. And you see Pete Hegseth standing behind him like, well, I haven't. This is the dude that would be responsible for telling you if that school was hit by, the Iranians had bombed their own school. Pete Hegseth would be the one that would know that information and tell you, Mr. President, that it happened. And when they asked Pete Hegseth standing behind Trump on Air Force One, Hegseth wouldn't even say that. Trump's up there, well, I think the Iranians look like they did it. Just lying. Just making it up out of nowhere. Just lying. So I don't know why MAGA is riding with Trump on this stuff. If he is willing to lie about a school full of girls and try to pin it on the Iranians when it's so obvious otherwise happened, if he is willing to lie and say that they are begging for a ceasefire when they clearly are not, how do you know they really had nukes and they were about to use them? Because that's where that information is coming from. There are no intelligence agencies in the U.S. that have testified that Iran was about to get a nuclear bomb. All of that's coming from the same guy that just told you 37 times Iran has been begging for a ceasefire. Why do you still believe him? That's all I'm saying. He's been caught lying several times. I don't understand why MAGA's still rolling with that. Takesha Bowie, good evening, Takesha. I've had the amount of lazy thumbs in here. I'm having a hard time getting 10,000. Really? Tap the screen. Don't cost you a penny to do that. Takesha, good evening. Takesha, are you there? Apparently, Takesha has stepped away. We'll continue on. Beginning with President Reagan, who started the salute. Every single president has done so since. Okay, they could all be wrong, That doesn't mean it, just because every president is doing it, they could all be wrong. Does the flag code say you salute when the anthem is playing? I'll tell you this, what I say all the time. When Trump fucks up or does something wrong, pointing to other people that did the same thing is not a defense for Trump. That doesn't mean what he is doing should be excused or that's a defense for it. That just means maybe they both were wrong. But that is quite common for MAGA to do that. You point to something Trump does. Well, Biden or Obama did the same thing. That ain't a defense for Trump. That's just a deflection. Mamdani was who they were booing. No, they were not booing Mamdani. Justice for Alton Metcalf, Karmelo was a coward and deserves what's coming to him. He's a coward based on what? You expect him to put the knife down and take on a whole stand full of people? How was he a coward? Look, he might be a killer. He might actually be a killer, but how was he a coward? I don't get that one. Mom and dad and no longer politically correct in New York, now crazy. I remember Let's Go Brandon, whole audience of NASCAR fans chanting that at Biden. So I did ask the question, is it wrong to boo a president? But let's not pretend like MAGA let's not pretend like MAGA was respectable towards Biden or Obama. Now, as I said, pointing to other bad behaviors is not a defense for, let's say, the Knicks fans. Alter ego, thank you, alter ego. In the comments, MAGA React says, Mike, you racist, gonna make it all about race. What's new? Well, the whole logistics of this case is going, look, if Austin Metcalf had stabbed Carmelo Anthony, it would still have a racial overtone to it. If both of these kids had been black or both of them had been white, there would be no race. But look, because of what happened, one's white, one's black. That's just what happens here in America. J Fire Rod S, thank you for your support in the TikTok cap. Put Carmelo in the alligator Alcatraz. Make the punishment fit the crime. I'm not a fan of capital punishment. That's just me, because I do believe that there are certain groups of people that are statistically less likely to be put to death. And I believe if you're going to have a country where you go to the death chamber or gas chamber or electric or whatever, firing squad or hung, whatever, if you're going to execute people based on a heinous crime, it shouldn't matter what they look like, their gender, or their financial status. And in this country, there are three things you can be that make it more or less likely you are put to death. We can talk about race. Yes, being a minority versus being white puts you at a disadvantage, but there are greater disadvantages. Being wealthy versus poor makes it less likely you're going to go to the gallows or whatever. If you got money, chances are you're not going to get death. And last but not least, gender matters. Being a woman makes it less likely, even if you murder someone, that you're not going to go to the gallows. So it's not handed out fairly. So for that reason, I don't favor the death penalty. I mean, there's a lot of men that have been executed that if they had been a woman, they would have been. A woman takes the life of her husband. Well, was he abusing you? Did he mistreat you? You're giving her out. If a man takes the life of his wife, they don't ask him anything like that, even though a woman can be abusive to a man. They don't ask to do what was she abusing you? Nobody gives a fuck. You're going to pay for the crime. So I don't favor it for that reason. Looking in the comments, justice for Carmelo. We know what really went down. There was no outrage when white people killed Trayvon, George, Mike, etc. That is not true. This country is full of racist mutts. I disagree with you. Who said that in the comments? 93 Brown Sugar says there was no outrage when whites killed Trayvon, etc. Every BLM march has white people in it. There's plenty of white outrage. I don't focus on racism to the point where you also put the allies in the same category. I mean, just like with MLK, there were white people. You ever see the movie Mississippi Burning? Most of the people that lost their life in that movie were white that they were trying to find. You ever heard of the word N-word lover? There's a whole lot of white people that are outraged about racism. There's a lot of white people that don't like racism. And many of them have been hung and lost their lives fighting on behalf of civil rights. So I don't agree that there was no white outrage. Tap the screen. We'll go to the box, see if we can make it happen again with another guest. Since Takesha wasn't wrong. We'll go to MAGA Reacts. Good evening, MAGA. You got a really loud background.
Yeah, let me show you. I'm watching you at double speed on YouTube.
Oh, that's me. That's me screaming in the background. Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I.
Yeah.
Can you see? I got you on the TV.
Yeah. All right. Yes. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the support. Now cut me down. Real quick in the comments, hold on a second, Maga. Real quick in the comments, Takesha, you weren't sitting back, you weren't there. We brought you up, called your name a couple times, and it was dead silent. Okay, so now that the verdict is in, I'll give you the floor first of all. Do you believe the verdict is accurate?
Yeah, I think so. Real quick, the problem with YouTube is you can never see who you're talking to. I know you say our name at the beginning, but if you come midway, you can't tell like you're even talking to somebody sometimes. You need to like put our name somewhere. Or you need to do it the way I showed you, where it's like a copy of what's it called, TikTok, so they can see all the TikTok stuff.
Yeah, that was the purpose of this digital ticker here. I did used to put the folks' names there, but nobody seemed to care. Nobody really seemed to have cared about it, so I stopped doing it. But their names did used to appear right here. They used to appear right there on that digital screen there. So
what you could do is you could pull up TikTok on the TV behind you, and then people like could see the caller on the corner of your TikTok.
But with MAGA, most of my callers don't even put their face there, so there's not much to see but a thumbnail. Most of the callers don't even put their face there.
Yeah, that's enough. You'll see the thumbnail.
I don't think they care about. You might be one of the only ones that care about that. I don't think they care about that.
I mean, I care about it, especially when I want to clip something. It takes me forever to figure out.
But there's not enough. There's not enough of you. If a bunch of my main supporters started saying it, you're damn right I would do it. But I'm not hearing people say that that's really a big concern.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's only for the regulars that want to know who you're talking to, so they know that you're talking to me or a grandma or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's not a big. It's not the. We'll talk about it later. So we can talk about that.
Yeah, like I said, and all the things they would want to change on the show, you're the only person I've ever heard say that, and that's right now why you're saying that. I've never heard anybody say that.
Well, it'll also make it where you only need one phone. Like right now, you're using like 5 different phones.
Okay, real quick, and also real quick in the comments, Hanson DeSoto says, 4th time I've asked, why did he have a knife? I don't know. Was he being bullied? I do not know. I'll tell you myself, I've had trouble with some other dudes in school, and I started carrying a knife back in my high school days. I don't know why he had a knife. I don't know if that came out in court, why he had a knife or what, but I don't know that. Maybe because he didn't testify in defense of himself. And I see in the comments, Mike says because he legally could have a knife. If that's the case, I mean, carrying a knife on school grounds, I look, even if you legally can carry a knife, just like I'm not, this is where the liberal in me comes out about common sense gun laws. I just think even though you legally can carry a gun in many places in America, I just believe there are so many of us that do not have the de-escalation skills to the point where it makes sense for you to be armed at all times. Some people are so, we all know people that it doesn't take much to set them off. You don't need that person to have a gun. So you're talking about kids in school. I don't think school children should have knives on them, even if they legally can, because everybody does not have the mental capacity to restrain themselves, to de-escalate situations. Like I was mentioning earlier, two guys on a basketball court, or somebody getting cut off in traffic, and now they want to kill the dude because they couldn't just drive a little bit slower until the guy was out the way. Weapons are not made for everybody. That's my opinion on that. So you believe the verdict is right, not manslaughter, murder? You believe he intended to do that, MAGA?
Yeah, because with what's his name, George Floyd, I say manslaughter because Buddy used his knee and he was trying to tackle him to the ground and accidentally killed him. That's why that's manslaughter. Here, he fucking stabbed him. I mean, that's murder because it's not like he punched him and the punch accidentally killed him. If the punch accidentally killed him, that would be manslaughter. But he stabbed him. That's 99% gonna kill him. Come on, it's not, man. It wasn't like an accident. Like manslaughter.
I'm still surprised I'm still surprised you're calling what happened to George Floyd an accident. I mean, you got the guy pinned down for 9 minutes after he said, "I can't breathe." I mean, at some point, you got to assume he could actually suffocate.
But he was saying I can't breathe when he was standing, when he was sitting. He was saying that the whole time. And people say that shit all the time to fuck with you,
Yeah, but the point is,
take advantage of it.
But the point is, if you put your knee on a struggling man and the person has stopped struggling, why is the knee still there?
I mean, I don't know.
Right. You don't know. That's the point.
It's not the same as stabbing him, though. Like, it's not like he stabbed George Floyd, you know? If you were stabbing or shot George Floyd, you would have a way better case.
I don't think so.
He was just trying to hold him down.
To me, George Floyd is akin to watching a UFC fight where you got the guy in a full naked choke or a rear naked choke. The guy has tapped out and you just keep him in the choke and say, well, he died by accident. I mean, when he's starting to yell, I can't breathe, that is tapping. That is tapping out. You know, he's handcuffed. So if you get off him, what is he going to do? It's 4 of y'all there. You don't still sit on the guy. That's like he's tapped out.
No, but people fake tap. They fake it all the time.
But it's 4 of you guys. It's 4 of you. If he's faking, what is he going to do? It's 4.
It was one-on-one.
No, it's not. There is plenty of videos around that show Chauvin kneeing on him, and the other 3 officers who got convicted, by the way, themselves, they're standing there. There's 3 other officers there with Derek Chauvin.
I mean, I gotta rewatch it, but I remember
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
You need to rewatch that.
Even if it's 4-on-1, I mean, George Floyd's a big dog.
He's handcuffed. He's handcuffed.
I sent you a video of a little woman, and they're trying to get her out the car, and like 4 full-grown men couldn't even do it because that's how
he's so strong. He is so strong that 4 full-grown men can't take him on. But one dude with his knee on his back and his hands in his pocket has no problem doing it.
Yeah, because he subdued him. I don't know what to tell you.
Mike, talk to me, Mike. Talk to me.
That's my whole point. I mean, you're taking it way too far.
Here's what's so crazy about this. And also, Hugo, I've read the law, man. I wouldn't come up here and say this shit. There was an officer named Bo Riley who testified yesterday. He was a detective that was on the scene afterwards at the day of the stabbing. He testified that based on the size of the knife that he had, 3.5-inch blade, it was legal by law in Texas for him to have at the stadium. He testified to that yesterday, and the prosecution did not push back on that when he testified. Again, I'm going to say it one more time.
How does that change anything?
Hold on. It does. Yeah, it does. Because you guys are asking.
That being legal or illegal isn't a question.
Hold on, Maga React. You love to do this bullshit.
No, you
ask the question. You ask the question why did he have the knife? And I'm trying to tell you, legally, he could have the knife. This is what's crazy about the law.
It's illegal for him to carry the knife.
This is the system. It's the law.
I didn't say it's murder because if he carries an illegal knife, it says nothing about an illegal knife. What's your point?
Maga, not today, Maga. You just like to just
I just don't have time for your
you guys are asking. You're asking a question. You call it bullshit. I call it reading. You ask the question,
buddy. It makes no difference.
You ask the question. It does, because if you're asking why he had it, and I say legally he can have it.
That's why he had it.
Then it gets you did. That was the first thing you did when you came up. Listen.
No, I said because he used a knife. If it was his knee or his punch, he couldn't have a knife or.
Just listen for a second, because you popped that shit in the comments about
Hold on. Mike, make your point. Hold on, Maga. Mike, make your point. Hold on, Mike, Maga. Hold on a second. Hold on. Make your point, Mike, and then we'll let him respond.
Here's what I'm saying, Tim. This is what drives me crazy when these people come up here and talk about this case. They haven't done the work. If the detective is a detective in Texas, gets on the stands and says, by Texas law, he legally could have had that knife on him and in the stadium. Who else am I fucking listening to right now, Tim?
Listening to the
Who else would I listen to? He's testifying to it, and the prosecution didn't push back on it. And when you go look at the law, that's the law. Now, even if I gave you school policy's not law. So the only thing the school could have done was expelled him, but it's not law. It's a school policy. You guys got to understand what you're talking about when you're talking about. The stadium is not considered on school ground. That's not my position. That's their position. You just got to listen to him.
Can everybody do this dumb shit already?
See what they call it dumb shit, Tim?
Let him reply. Let him make his case for why he's saying this dumb shit. Reply.
Because, first of all, I didn't make the point that the knife was illegal or not, and I'm pretty sure the fucking...
You were insinuating. Why didn't I bring it up?
Who cares if the knife is legal or illegal? The fact that he just used a knife to stab someone that was just trying to, like, push him out of his tent, push him out of, like, their area. I mean, when someone just, like... We don't even know. I don't know how hard you pushed. Maybe you can tell me since you read everything on Earth how hard you pushed him out. But he was just trying to push him out of the fucking tent, and he pulled out a knife and stabbed him.
I can answer
saying,
it.
"Oh, the knife was illegal. He shouldn't have
answer it. I can answer it. First
points about nothing I said. You don't listen to what I say. You make your own nothing to do with what I said.
First, I get out of your feelings. You said he shouldn't push him out. Well, you can't touch anybody, Maggie. That's number one. He had no authority to push him.
You can't touch anybody.
You can't.
Wait a minute. He has no authority to put his hands on. Wait a minute. He has no authority to put his hands on anybody. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? He's in his space.
He wasn't in his space. He
And
wasn't
again,
in his space.
self-defense is you defend your life from a fucking someone that's trying to kill you.
Again, MAGA,
A shove out of the fucking tent is not
he
trying to
wasn't
kill you.
in his space, MAGA. It
He
wasn't
was in
his
his
space.
tent. That was it.
He was invited, MAGA.
I gotta see.
Yeah, I know. So go fucking read if you don't know what you're talking about. He was invited.
One guy invited him. He was told that he
All it
was
takes is one invitation. How many invitations do you get to a wedding, you dumb motherfucker? How many?
Well, I'm sorry. Just because some random guy
Okay, then
invites you
shut up.
doesn't mean the fucking groom can't tell you to get the fuck out of the wedding.
No,
I mean, if
it's
you're
an
gonna invite
invitation.
someone into your house, then you could also tell them to leave.
Well,
Just because they invited you
And he
to my
doesn't
house,
have to
you
leave.
can fucking stay all you want.
He doesn't have to leave.
Either way, it doesn't matter. They want him
So let me
out
get
of the
this right.
area.
Hold on,
And
Magga.
they fucking threatened his life. His
Let me
life was
get this
not in
right.
danger.
He doesn't have to
And
threaten
in
his life.
return, he fucking stabbed him.
He doesn't have to threaten his life. That's the Texas law. It ain't California. You have a duty to retreat in California. You don't in Texas. But listen to what I'm about to tell you. Hold on, Magga.
With your life being
Magga,
threatened.
are you
If you were
telling
threatening
me?
his life, you could
Are
stand
you
his ground.
telling me because it's not? There's no law that requires him to leave where he was. Are you telling me that even though he didn't break any laws being there, he didn't break any laws by not leaving, that he just should? So what law did he break?
What law did the other guy break?
Can you answer my question?
you didn't answer his question. You were answering it.
He stabbed the guy. The law that he broke is that he stabbed the guy. That's
No.
the law
What law did he break by not leaving under the tent, Magga?
Nothing. But
Okay, then.
the guy
You didn't break the law.
broke
So
the law.
why put your hands on me as a teenager when I didn't do anything? I didn't break any
Because
laws.
I don't want you in my area.
But
Because
you can't put your.
I want you out.
Hold on. Let me just say this. Let me just MAGA. Even if you don't want him in the area by law, you don't have a right to put your hands on him. This is not. You don't own this area.
Okay, but pushing someone out, a gentle shove or whatever the fuck he did.
Calm his hair. Get the fuck out of here. Go read the testimony.
He said a
What are you
gentle
telling me
shove.
the testimony?
And Texas,
Did he do enough where it's like, did he threaten the guy's life?
he doesn't have to by Texas law.
No, standing your ground is you stand your ground when someone is fucking trying to kill you, trying to attack you. That means you don't have to retreat.
That's not. That's not the law.
You don't have a duty to retreat, but he also didn't have a duty to stab the guy.
Here's the funny part, Tim.
I'm listening.
Black people always have to just comply to something that's not even lawful. They
That's
give
not
a lawful
complying.
So let me ask, Magga, you were in high school, right?
If the other guy was coming at him with a knife, then he would stand his ground and stab
When
him
you were
back.
in high school, that's not what the law says. When you were in high school,
That's how it works. That's how standing his ground
that's
works.
not the law. Let me ask you this, Magga.
Oh, you can't even fucking understand the
when
law.
you were in high school, when you were in high school, did you take your orders from a fellow student?
What do you mean? I ain't going to the fucking
No,
other
I don't give a fuck where you were. See, this is the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you
I
were.
left. Like, I never
Answer my question.
I was trying to shove me. I've been
It
shoved.
doesn't matter.
And all the
None
times
of
I've
that
been
matters.
shoved, I never fucking pulled out a knife and
Listen.
stabbed somebody.
Listen.
All right, 2 minutes, gentlemen. 2 minutes.
I asked you a simple
I've been
question.
shoved plenty, and I never stabbed anyone.
I asked you a simple question. Have you taken orders from a classmate? college? I mean, in high school?
Yes, of course.
And did you have to?
I didn't have to, but I did.
Okay, then.
Depends on the situation, too.
It is.
Like, guess what? I didn't fucking stand my ground and stab
Tim,
them just because they
this
asked
is
me to
why-
leave.
This is why I believe he's going to win on appeal, because what I'm asking him is the law. He didn't have any duty to retreat. He didn't have to.
I hate that. You might be right. You might be right, Mike. And I'm about the. I hate stand your ground laws because to me, I do believe it's an invitation to madness. It gives the fuck. Usually it's not the African American community that are the ones that are saying they stood their ground. But I don't like it because it like I've been mentioning, some people should not have weapons. Some people do not know how to escalate. And stand your ground laws are almost like telling them you feel free not to de-escalate. And they're happy to do that. And it causes people to get killed.
Tim, I'm glad you brought up de-escalation. And I'm going to drop after this. I'm glad you brought up de-escalation. Because all those kids testified and people keep repeating. They told them to leave 15 times and blah, blah, blah. But you know what they didn't do?
They didn't de-escalate.
To get in the door. Nobody, if it was so fucking egregious that he was there, they should have went and got an adult, and they didn't do that shit.
Fucking kindergarten?
I agree with that. Mike, I'll take it from here. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Okay, and I'll follow through with what he said. This is what I'm talking about, lack of de-escalation. This is how people get killed over something as simple as sitting down somewhere. He is right, MAGA. If this guy is sitting, hold on. If this guy is sitting there, this is school property, so they don't have the right to physically trespass somebody. They are going above and beyond. They don't have the right to do that. And as he's pointing out, which I disagree with the fact that these stand your ground laws exist, but if he is right, this guy don't have by law to have to let them move him. So neither one of these people are de-escalating and somebody gets stabbed. They should have just went and got an adult or called the cops, and he should have said, if they don't want me here, fuck it, I'm leaving. Neither one of them done that. Now somebody's dead, and now somebody's going to prison. It's as simple as that.
The reason this guy is guilty is because not only did he not, okay, I give it to you, he didn't de-escalate. He escalated.
They both did. They both
If he would
did.
have shoved back, it would have been fine, but he didn't just shove back. He escalated and fucking stabbed him. How do you go from a simple little shove, one shove, to fucking stabbing?
That's how it works, MAGA. That's how it works. MAGA, that is how. Hold on, that is how it works. I don't give a fuck. That's how it works. If you're on, like I mentioned, the basketball court. Hold on, let me finish. If you're on the basketball court or you're in a club somewhere, if you shove somebody, expecting them to just shove you back, you're naive. You're probably going to get socked in the face or something. And then after that, you got to go above that.
Face, not stabbed. He went from 0 to 100.
I don't.
Look the song, 0 to 100 real quick. He should have fucking. Bro, that's the problem. He literally went from 0 to 100. There was no 20.
And that's why I say you can't give everybody weapons. I got to move it on, but I want to show you something before I do.
Last thing though, he totally misrepresented stand your ground. Stand your ground means you can stand your ground when someone's trying to kill you and you don't have to run away. Because other states you have to run away, and only when you can't run away you fucking attack. But in this case, they weren't trying to kill him. Like,
I'm not.
You think they were trying to kill him?
I don't think he was trying to kill them. I don't think he was trying to kill Austin Metcalf either. I don't think. Yeah, but I don't think he was trying to kill him. I don't think the goal was to try to kill him. His actions led to the guy dying, but I don't think he was trying to kill him either. I want to show you this.
You could slash with a knife. He chose to stab.
Wait, I don't think he was trying to kill him. I don't know how else I can explain it. I don't know how much I can. I don't think he was trying to kill him. You can explain it, but I'm going to still stand by. I don't think he was trying to take a life. You're just repeating the same thing again. You're just repeating the same thing again. I don't think he was trying to take his life. He was trying to stab him.
Difference between slicing and fucking stabbing. It's not
okay. All right. Well, we'll agree to disagree. Anyway, this is what I wanted to show you. If my computer will allow me to zoom in on it, because this is so small and they won't let me blow the picture up. But this is a clear picture of what is his name? Chauvin's kneeing on Floyd, and the other cop is just standing there looking at it. He ain't paying attention to the crowd. He's not concerned. He's not helping Chauvin out. He's just watching Chauvin sit on this guy. For some reason, it's not letting me blow the picture
It
up.
wasn't 5-1. It was just
No, I got more pictures. But even in this case, when it's 2-on-1 and one of them ain't even helping, that shows they don't see Floyd as a major threat. If he's struggling, the other officer's hands on, and he's not. He's just sitting there watching them. So clearly, this other officer don't see Floyd as a major threat. Why ain't he involved in the mix?
I don't know, but it is 1-on-1 because the other officer isn't helping.
And he's not helping.
Maybe he thought Floyd was complying. I don't know.
Maybe he thought Floyd was compliant because Floyd was compliant. Maybe he thought what he saw. Here's another photo. This one is kind of look at that one. Now look at that one. Look at
back and stabbing him.
Yeah, look at. We're talking about Floyd now. We're not the stabbing thing. You're not going to agree on. Okay.
If Chauvin would have stabbed George Floyd, that would be a murder.
Okay. The point I'm making is now you see this blurry photo. There's one cop standing there doing nothing. There's Chauvin in the middle with his knee on his neck. And then there's another cop that's just kind of standing right next to Chauvin. So there's 3 dudes on this handcuffed guy. And one of them is doing nothing.
That's usually how you subdue someone. If
He is subdued.
It would be murder. If
Right.
they shot him, if they knifed him, it would be murder. The fact that they were trying to subdue him and he accidentally died, that's why it's manslaughter.
I don't see where
They
you're.
were trying to subdue him. In your own words, they were trying to subdue
No,
him.
they're not trying to subdue him. No, they're not trying to subdue him. He's already subdued, and they're just pausing on top of the guy. They ain't trying to subdue him. They just one dude's just standing there doing. If you're trying to subdue, you don't have cops standing around if you're trying to subdue a wild dude. If he's just standing there, clearly this dude ain't fighting no more. If he is such a struggle, then all the cops are gonna be hands on. The fact that he's just standing there looking at it shows there's not much of an issue.
Okay, but like normally 9 out of 10 times the person wouldn't have died. Like it's not like when you stab.
Different argument.
How often do people that get stabbed get killed? Almost all the time, right?
How often does somebody who's getting suffocated for 9 minutes die? 9 out of 10 times.
No, but he wasn't trying to suffocate him. He was just trying to.
He wasn't trying to kill him with the knife. He was not trying to kill him with the knife either.
No, but a knife in someone's stomach usually kills them.
A knee on somebody's neck for a knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes usually kills them.
I have no other example of a knee on someone's neck killing someone. I have plenty of examples of a knife in someone's gut.
That don't mean what I.
There's so many examples of stabbing, killing people.
Do you have
There's so many
any?
examples of a knee to the back suffocating a fucking guy?
Do you have any example at all of somebody who put a knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes and they lived? Do you have any examples of that?
Neither. But
Right. So it happens. I gotta move on. Look,
For George Floyd, I would have told you that's not gonna kill him. It's only after George Floyd you were like, maybe because he's big and on fentanyl that killed him.
so you would hold on. You would have saw. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. You would have actually witnessed this guy saying, "I can't breathe," and then not moving for about 5 or 6 minutes and expecting when they got off of this guy who's remained completely silent, not moving. You would expect him to get up and be perfectly normal.
But he was
You didn't answer the question. You did not answer that question. You did not answer that question. You still ain't answered that question.
What's the question?
You're on this guy who's saying, "I can't breathe," and suddenly he stops saying it. He's not moving, and you're still sitting there for several minutes. You expect when they get off of him for him to just get up and be normal.
Okay, that's fucked up, but again,
You still ain't answering the question.
I said it was fucked up.
That is not an answer. Do you expect him to get up and be normal?
Yeah, I would figure he fell asleep. Like he was sleeping.
I gotta go. I'll leave it at that. He said he figured he would have fell asleep. I had to drop him after that. He said he figured he would have fell asleep. Tap the screen. Look, I'm okay with pushing back. I don't have the fucking answers all the time. I get shit wrong all the time. I invite discourse and opposing opinions. And oftentimes I get corrected on plenty of shit. So it ain't about me, wanting everybody to think like I do, because I'm not always right. But when you get to the point where you say somebody's on your neck and you fall asleep, you may have fell asleep. Wow. Tap the screen. Okay. And by the way, just like I mentioned, the UFC example where if you're putting somebody in the rear naked choke and they do fall asleep, that's kind of why you have referees there. Because if you don't get up off of if you got somebody in a rear naked choke and they became motionless for several minutes and you don't let that chokehold go, you're starving the body and the brain of oxygen. You could end up with exactly what happened here. So the idea that he expects the guy to get up and be normal, I don't know where to go with that. I thought it was humorous, though. I did think it was funny. Looking in the comments, he fell asleep. Tap the screen. Holy crap, is this a debate or that one guy whining? Tap the screen, get us up to 40,000. Help me boy out the head mustache TikTok cap goes, if you will. Prolonged pressure on the neck or even the back has killed many people, and I'm sure it has. My guess is Derek Chauvin's not the only person that has taken a life in that manner. It just wasn't caught on video. Because Derek Chauvin tried to suggest what he did to Floyd was part of police procedure. Well, if you follow a procedure and somebody died, then that means you ain't the only one that has killed somebody, if that's a procedure. So, yeah, my guess is it absolutely, just like they had to ban chokeholds because people were dying from it. So it is what it is. But he's trying to say that you should know by stabbing somebody you could kill them, but you shouldn't know by asphyxiating somebody and putting your knee on their neck that they could die. You shouldn't feel they could die. Go where you will with that. Over $20 and they didn't even know if it was a fake R not, and dude at the store. Okay, I don't know what that means. What is simple assault? Don't touch me. Yeah. Somebody says Tim is emotional right now. Yeah, Creed. That was very emotional. It was comical too. Let me go back to the box. We'll go to we'll try to get with Takesha. She was on hold. Takesha, good evening. Chokeholds only work on those who give up fighting. Huh? Chokeholds work on plenty of people who are literally fighting into their death. Plenty of women have been choked to the life has been choked out of them by their spouse, and they were fighting back the whole time until they just ran out of oxygen. Takesha, good evening. Takesha, are you there? Okay, we don't hear Takesha. Once again, we got to move it on. Tap the screen, get the lights on. I don't know what's going on. You got a microphone problem over there or something? Or maybe she stepped away. We'll move on to Scumbag Steez. Scumbag, good evening.
Hey, what's up?
I don't even know, man. I'm assuming you've heard about this verdict?
Yeah, well, I expected it because it is Texas, but
Yep.
I feel like what they're really doing is they're trying to set a precedent that BOK people should not ever respond to white aggression.
You getting all that out of that?
Yeah, because we see Rick Child, that verdict, the kid was running and he was unalive and they claimed self-defense. And then in this case, if you read the transcripts, Austin ran up 5 bleachers to confront Karmelo, and they said Karmelo was the aggressor.
Listen, I hate to ask some of the same questions my last caller, Maggie asked, but let me ask you, does it look like Carmelo's life was in danger? Does it look like lethal force was his only option?
No, lethal force was not his only option, but in the law it says fear of serious bodily harm. So, you know, I could see where someone tussling on bleachers, possibly getting pushed on bleachers, could have serious bodily harm. Along with in the trial came out that he has epilepsy as well. So there was reasonable doubt.
That's hard. I'm listening. I have a hard time saying that this guy don't sound like he at least deserved a manslaughter charge. I mean, look, anytime you get in a fight, there's a possibility of serious bodily harm. You can get your head slammed against the pavement, slammed against a wall. It don't have to be on the bleachers. Anywhere you're fighting, the ground you're on is strong enough to hold you to can be used as a weapon. I mean, so that can happen. I mean, we don't want every fight to result in somebody having, choosing deadly force. I mean, now, were all the other kids chasing him too? Or was Austin Metcalf his only threat?
Well, they claim that it was a one-on-one, but from the circumstances, I would say it wasn't a one-on-one. If the brother basically instructed Hunter and basically instructed Austin to go handle the problem, and then Austin runs up 5 step bleachers to confront Karmelo, and they say that Karmelo is the aggressor. Is Karmelo an aggressor in that scenario, Handsome?
No, I don't think the convicted Carmelo Anthony was the aggressor. My issue is I think that he took it up above a notch that he had to. Real quick, before we continue in the comments, Lonzel says, do a show on how that guy who raped and killed his sister and see how those same people act. We did do a show on that. That's the guy on the Carnival cruise ship that sexually assaulted his stepsister, raped her, and then killed her and tried to hide the body under the bed. We did cover that. And he's gotten out on bail and all kinds of shit. It is ridiculous, but we did do a show on that when it happened. But no, I'm saying scumbag, hell of a name you got there. You sound like you've been talking to Trump recently, but I'm saying is that it sounded to me like Carmelo took it up to a level that was not necessary. Now, if he's on the ground getting stomped out American History X style by Austin Metcalf, then yes, by all means. But the fact that you used a knife and you don't have a scratch on you, it's going to be hard to convince people that you really was feeling like you were about to get, you were about to face some serious harm.
I definitely agree with you, but M1 though, just put this in comparison. I don't know if you heard about Casey Allison. He was in Texas as well. He had a fight with another kid, and he lured him into the bathroom and poked him up and unalived him. And he was charged with criminally negligent homicide, and they gave him 10 years. Well, so Carmelo did not go to that track meet intending to unalive him.
I believe that.
How the hell is he getting M1?
And that's why Mike was on here earlier saying that Carmelo might end up winning on appeal, because I can agree with that. This is very similar to George Zimmerman, where they tried to get him on murder one with Trayvon Martin, and I believe George Zimmerman walked also because they overcharged the guy. Like if they had got him on manslaughter or something like that, it may have been an easier conviction, but they tried to make it sound like it was premeditated murder. Like George Zimmerman walked off in the night after Trayvon Martin with the express intent to kill him. And I believe George Zimmerman was completely negligent and responsible for the death of Trayvon. But I don't feel confident saying when he went after him, his goal was to kill him. I think his goal was to restrain him and accuse him of all kinds of crimes he didn't do because he was black. And Trayvon Martin probably said, hey, who the fuck are you? You can't hold me. And he got into a scuffle, and George Zimmerman was on the losing end of that shit. And now all of a sudden he's claiming he got to kill the guy in self-defense. I think he should have got a manslaughter. But like in this case, I don't think Carmelo should have gotten murder. I would say the same thing, probably manslaughter.
Definitely agree. But you don't feel like this is like setting a precedent where even if you run away and someone unalives you and you're black, you have a weapon on you, they're gonna say that, that person's might be justified. And then if you defend yourself, if the person looks a certain type of way and the mitigating circumstances, they're gonna try to convict you to the highest extent of the law just because you're BOK. I think it's gonna incentivize some people to just say, F it, I'm going to go to prison anyway. I might as well just stay alive and try to preserve my life.
But you really believe that Carmelo, his life was in danger? That if he hadn't had that knife, he was about to be seriously hospitalized or killed? You believe they were going to beat him up that bad?
I think Austin knew jiu-jitsu. He was trained. He had over 80 pounds on Carmelo. Carmelo's 130. Austin Metcalf was 6'1", 215 pounds.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem I have with this. And maybe this will make me sound like a pussy for saying this, but here's the problem I have with this. If you know you have a weapon and all you're trying to do is sit down in the fucking bleachers and some guy who you think is way too big for you to handle, and maybe he got friends where you know you can't physically handle any of them, and they only want you to leave, but because you have a weapon and you can really do some damage, you decide, I'm going to sit here against the wishes of... This is where the lack of de-escalation comes in. Like, it's just a fucking seat. Now, maybe it makes me sound like a pussy to say, just get up and leave, as opposed to having to kill these motherfuckers. But you see what's happened to him now. If he had just said, fuck it, I don't want to sit where I'm not wanted, potentially have them throwing soda or popcorn on me, why would you sit in a group of people that don't want you there? And when it comes into a scuff, now you got to kill one of these dudes. When the goal, somebody said it was raining. Really? We're talking about whether or not you're going to kill someone. Well, I wanted to stay dry, so I killed these motherfuckers. Right? I'm a little wet with blood now, but at least I'm not wet with rain. I mean, look, to me, this is where I keep saying this. The de-escalation thing is necessary. I get Texas doesn't require you to retreat. You can stand your ground and all of that. But I don't know. Just if we're going with what you're saying, there's scumbag, that Austin Metcalf and his brother, and they're significantly bigger and heavier and stronger. The only reason you're going to sit there is because you know you got that knife on you, which now makes it look like you intend to kill one of these motherfuckers. Because if you didn't have the knife, you would get up and leave. So now it makes it look like you kind of are contemplating. Well, if they do something, it's going to be. Isn't that kind of what he said? If you touch me, you're going to see what happened.
No, he said, "Don't touch me, and we will be cool." And the media manipulated it and lied and said he said, "Touch me and see what happened."
Okay,
he said, "Don't touch me. Keep your hands off me, and we're gonna be cool." Austin said something to the effect of, "I will beat your ass." On top of that, Karmelo was invited in the tent by another kid that he knew. And then that kid got on the stand and lied and said that he was not friends with Karmelo and got exposed in those lies. So it's just people just lying all around.
I don't doubt that, because I saw the picture they released of Austin Metcalf or Karmelo Anthony. It made him look thuggish as hell when they first. I mean, there are plenty of photos of this dude wearing a suit and shit. And they deliberately found, just like with Trayvon Martin, they went and deliberately found hoodie photos and shit to make him look menacing. I don't know. We know why that happens, but I am looking. Let's say, for instance, he just gave Austin Metcalf a flesh wound, and I'm Carmelo's father. I'm still going to tell him, why wouldn't you just get your ass up and leave that situation? You're going to sit there with these folks that don't want you. All these white folks don't want you there. I mean, you may get spat on from somewhere you don't know. They all around you, so shit could hit you in the back of the head. Why would you sit there with them? I mean, like, were you that eager to sit there with all these folks that don't like you? Just get up and leave.
That's true, but can I say this last thing? I know you 6'6", Tim. Why can't we understand that if you're 6'6", and a woman is like, let's just say she's 5'5", would she be justified if you were trying to assault her and she used lethal force? She took out a knife and poked you.
The courts are, like I said, the courts treat women differently than men, because if Kevin Hart stabbed Queen Latifah, he wouldn't get away with it. So I'm just saying, they treat women more like they're victims. A much smaller man is not going to shank and kill a big woman and get away with it like that.
That's going to be my last point. Why can't we not understand that there's a size disparity between men?
Because he had the problem is, and this is where me and Mike are on different ends of this, because he's talking about the stay your ground law. But to me, the elephant in the room that we got to discuss is, why didn't you just leave? If you know you can't physically handle these motherfuckers, why would you stay here? The only reason you're staying is because you know you have a lethal item on you. You wouldn't have stayed if you didn't have that knife, right? So why would you stay? Just get up and leave. I mean, you wouldn't be. I mean, look, I get the ego issue of it and all of that, but now your parents are paying tens of thousands in legal fees, and you may be going to jail for a large portion of your life. And I'm saying that before the verdict came in. Now that's confirmed. Just get up and leave. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Just in the same thing with the deceased, I would say the same thing to them. Just let them fucking sit here. Now, you know, if he pulls this out, you could lose. One of you guys could be seriously hurt, or God forbid, one of y'all could perish. Just let them sit here. It ain't that big of a deal. This is where the lack of de-escalation takes this shit into where we are now.
I agree with you there. I see your answer. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I hate calling you a scumbag because you were such a nice call, but that's a hell of a name. I should have thought of it first. Looking in the comments, if they were trying to kill him, he could have stood his ground. They were not trying to kill him. We'll never know. We'll never know. And whenever a black person runs, the argument is, why did he run? He didn't have to run. I don't think that if they asked him, they asked him not to sit there. If he had just said fucking and walked away, are we to believe they were going to start chasing him and trying to beat him up? Maybe, maybe not. There's no way. That's just speculation. If he had just walked away, I don't think he had to run, so to speak. Just it is what it is. Funny how all of us here made it through high school without shanking anyone. A lot of us came close to alter ego. Because I just told you I carried for a short period of time because of some drama. A lot of us came close. It's not uncommon for folks who are being fucked with or bullied to either do like what I did, which I started carrying something for a while until a teacher caught it on me and took it, or some folks become suicidal, do something to their own self. I mean, everybody can't handle it like everybody else. Everybody can. Now, there's a difference, though, between being bullied in school and what happened here, because this is a one-off incident. I do believe Carmelo Anthony could have got up and walked away, and this doesn't keep happening. There's no evidence where these people were ongoing bullies to Carmelo Anthony. So he could have got him and walked away. This is over with. But if you're in school where you're being constantly bullied, you can't just walk away from that. Sometimes you got to completely transfer schools, or you got to take on the bully and show them you're willing to fight back. So a lot of people being bullied, there is no option where they can just make it stop. I think in Carmelo Anthony's case, if he had just got up and left, this is over with. In the comments, somebody said, I got stabbed and survived. Wow. And that's interesting you would say that, considering your name is Better Days Ahead. I guess there really are. Poke him in the side, not in the heart. You can poke somebody in the side and kill them just the same. I mean, when you're puncturing somebody, you could hit blood vessels. I mean, it just doesn't matter. You can hit them in the liver, and the liver bleeds heavily. So poking somebody in the side, not to mention if you poke them on the left side, you can still get the heart. So poking them in the side doesn't guarantee they're going to live. If you attack someone, you dictate how they respond. No, I agree with you, Jay Sitch. You do not get to dictate how somebody responds when you attack them. That's why I always say a slap can result in anything happening in response, because when you slap somebody, you don't, in most cases, you walk up and slap a real man, they're not going to slap you back. It's usually going to be a closed fist punch. They may even pick up something, hit you over the head with a bar stool or some shit like that. That slap is you're going to receive retaliation from that slap that's going to be worse than the slap. That's just how fights work. Both sides are responding with something worse than they actually sustained. A ton of leniency for people that start fights. Shouldn't be leniency for, but if one of them dies, that's a little different. After reading the case, I'd say manslaughter should be the charge. And that's why, and I agree from what I'm seeing so far, he should have got manslaughter. But that's why Mike is also saying that he may end up winning on appeal, because now that they've convicted him of murder, they can't just knock it back down to manslaughter. So that's what Mike was saying. Speaking of which, let's go to Mike. Mike, good evening.
Hey, what's up, Tim? You just read somebody that said it should have been manslaughter based on what they read, right?
Mm-hmm.
The threshold for manslaughter and murder one are different.
Right.
That's why this intentionally or knowingly unaliving somebody for M1, that's not as reckless for manslaughter.
Right.
If you want to say it was reckless, no matter how I feel personally, you want to say it was reckless and you want to go that route, fine. But to say he intentionally what you're saying is he knew where he stabbed him. He knew that the result of his action would lead to that. You don't know none of that in the moment.
Well, MAGA reacts as saying, as a 17-year-old, you should know that if you're putting a knife in somebody's chest, there's a high likelihood of killing them.
And you know what's so funny? MAGA reacts sounds like somebody that either got his ass whooped a lot or was never in a really good fight. Tim, do you remember everywhere you hit somebody when you was in a fight?
No, you just swinging. You just swinging.
But let me tell you one thing that I think is that will come up, and I was disappointed that the defense didn't bring it up. The location of this, and Quinn's here, by the way. Quinn ain't been here in a while. The location, Quinn was a track coach in high school and college. I was a track coach in high school. Being in those bleachers is not somewhere you want to be in a fight. There's over 20,000 injuries a year from people getting hurt.
But let me ask you a couple questions. First of all, was Austin Metcalf significantly larger than Karmelo Anthony?
Yes.
Okay.
And Hunter.
Right. So then why would he stand his ground against the insurmountable odds, other than the fact that he got a knife on him? Why would he stand his ground against that?
Well, two things, Tim. And you said it earlier, which is funny you keep talking over it, but you keep saying it. If you feel like you're getting bullied, if I keep running from bullies or I run from a bully, guess what? I can assume that I'm going to keep getting bullied.
Right. Is there any evidence that was happening?
Well, no. But here's the thing. Not with him. But this is what I told you earlier. They said one of the students that knew Hunter doesn't stand for disrespect. And the other one said that Austin can be intimidating if you don't know him. That was what they said, right? These are people that know them. Now, if you're sitting in the bleachers, and this idea that he wasn't supposed to be there, first of all, is complete bullshit, Tim. The track culture is the most social culture in high school sports, bar none. Because you're only running or doing an event for minutes and seconds at a time. But you're there all fucking day.
Okay.
You're there all day. And in that time, these kids know each other from other schools and, a competitive AAU track, and they grew up and this shit is normal.
Here's what I don't get though, Mike. Okay, they don't told you to leave. Like, you got to guess. They don't told you to leave. What is he gonna do? Just sit there amongst a bunch of people that don't want him there? I mean, now your back is turned to all these people.
Nobody testified that they didn't want him there, other than Hunter and Austin. He literally sat there and said, "Everyone, you're the only one that's not cool with me being here." Nobody testified that they didn't want him there. Nobody said any of that, Tim. What they said was, when it started to escalate, just leave. But at that point, he has no obligation to do so. And all I'm saying to you is, in that moment, he didn't have to. But the two brothers were the ones that wanted him to leave.
Wait, hold on, Maga. How do you respond? T Daddy on Clapper says, when I played soccer or went to football games and basketball games, nobody goes and sits with the other team. How do you respond to that?
He's talking about football. You notice he didn't say track, right?
Yeah.
You notice he didn't say track, right?
No, he didn't say track.
Right, because you know why? In football, you sit in the stands with your team until halftime, right? Until halftime, then you go down and get dressed.
Okay.
In track, it's all day. That's why I didn't say any other sport. That's literally why I didn't say any other sport. Now, here's the thing, Tim. Here's the thing about this. Hold on for a second.
MAGA reacts to trap. What are you showing?
Go ahead, MAGA react.
This is the tent that they were under. And the way you guys are talking is like you guys are talking like they were in this big fucking Coliseum and they want him out of the Coliseum. This is the small tent that they were under that they wanted him to leave. You see the fucking
I don't think anybody's talking like it's a Coliseum. Everybody saw the tent, MAGA.
But the last guy, he's like, Metcalf jumped over like 10 stories of bleacher to fucking fight with the guy.
Well, you're showing about 10 stories of bleachers on your picture.
I know, but the tent is only like 4 or 5.
Yeah, but there's several more below that.
But you see how small the space there is, especially especially for so many people. And this guy just would not leave the small area. Look how small this is. And it looked like there was another tent right next door.
Yeah.
Hey Tim, so he came up for this. So watch this.
I came up because you act like a knife is harmless. So let me stab you with a knife and see how harmless a knife is.
You came up here and brought this up.
Same exact knife.
You brought this up.
See how if you get a scratch.
Hey.
Okay. All right. Make your point. Mike, make your point. Now I'll go to MAGA.
He brought this up. Now, so back out to show the whole thing, MAGA reacts, because that's not even their tent. That's their tent. Now, how many people?
Let him finish, MAGA. Let him finish. I'll give you time, MAGA.
This is why you should read. How many people were under the tent?
Under the yellow one?
Yeah, at least 4 or 5 witnesses, so at least 5.
Well, so at least 5. So before Austin and Hunter got there, if you read the testimony, nobody said a fucking word about it being there. Did you know that?
Okay, and?
So if there was this huge protest, nobody else said anything until Hunter and Austin didn't want him there. The rest of the ones that were there had no problem with him being there because he was sitting there talking to Eddie.
All right, whatever the case is, none of that
What do you mean, whatever the case is? What the fuck?
He
What
pulled
does that
out a
mean?
knife and stabbed someone that wasn't trying to kill him.
Again.
You think Metcalf was trying to kill him?
No, I don't.
Then right there, you just fucking made
It
those
doesn't
things.
have to be. That's not the burden.
That is a burden.
It is
Your life
not.
has to be in danger.
It
Your
says
life-
or
you have to be in fear of death.
or
You think
bodily
Metcalf
harm.
did
It
enough
does not.
for this guy to be scared of death?
Hold on. Let's do this, Tim. Since you got your camera on, go pull it up. Go pull up Texas Penal Code 939.32.
What the fuck?
Please.
What are we
Go pull
doing?
up Texas Penal Code 9.3 and show me where, because it says or bodily harm.
Let me get something clear, Mike. Hold on. Let me make sure. Mike, MAGA, hold on. MAGA, hold on a second. MAGA, hold on. You're talking. I'm talking. Mike, do you believe he should have got manslaughter though?
I believe that should have been the charge. I don't believe he should have got manslaughter because great bodily harm can happen if you get in an altercation in the bleachers. What do you think would have happened if?
Where can you wait a minute, hold on? Where can you get into an altercation where great bodily harm cannot happen? Are you at showbiz? I mean, in a bunch of balls?
I'm saying it increases in the stands. And Tim, hold on, Tim. How tall are you?
6'6".
How much you weigh, Tim?
305 or something like that.
I'm 6'2", 220. Do you think I want you getting a hold of me in some fucking bleachers, Tim?
If you continue to come near me because you got a knife on you, it sounds like you're okay with it.
I didn't come near you. You're coming to me.
I think the dude committed manslaughter, Mike. I really do.
Tim, let me ask you a question.
Here's the question, Mike.
Tim, hold on, MAGA. Tim, I don't have to leave because you want me to leave. I don't have to fucking leave. What do we say? Here's a problem with this whole case.
That's not even debatable. We don't need to debate that. What we need to debate is, did fucking Metcalf do enough where he is in danger of great bodily harm? Was that shove? Was asking him to leave and shoving him a little bit, pushing him out a little bit enough to think that he's gonna fucking do you think that's enough to cause great bodily harm?
Yes,
Just ask him to leave.
the penal code.
You see, I already agree with you that it says great bodily harm.
So I'm gonna answer it like this. MAGA reacts. I'm gonna answer it like this.
Do you think the action of the fucking the guy that died victim equals great bodily harm? You think?
Yes, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm gonna give you a perfect example.
A knife.
You cut me off. You cut me off. Yes, and I'm gonna tell you why. If Tim is coming to me in bleachers because he doesn't want me in those bleachers, and Tim starts reaching for me, knowing that if his big ass gets a hold of me, I'm in trouble, Tim's getting fucking poked.
But he wasn't trying to grab him. Was he charging at him? Was he trying to like?
He literally was. He literally was trying. Listen, MAGA reacts. They testify to that.
Well, you don't grab someone that you're trying to push out.
Based on what I have a hard time with the bleacher excuse, Mike. I get you can have more bodily harm in bleachers. I mean, you can have more bodily harm if a fight broke out in a pool because somebody could be drowned. I just think that if you know that you're about to get in a fight and you already know, you feel confident you can't physically handle the people that you're getting in the fight with. This is why I totally am against this whole stay your ground thing. I think just fucking walk away.
But Tim, you can be against it, but here's the thing, Tim.
I know where you're going with it. I know where you're going.
So what I'm telling you is this, Tim. I'm not risking you. I'm using you and I from a side perspective. Listen, leave me the fuck alone. Why do I have to get up and leave? Because you want me gone, but I haven't done anything.
So you're so willing to defend your position to sit here that you're willing to commit murder to defend that position.
Wait a minute, Tim. I'm just following the law, Tim.
Right. The law allows, I'll say it clearer. The law allows you to sit here and not leave. You are so willing to defend that position. You will commit murder to remain seated here.
I will defend myself. And if the results of that, and here's the thing, Tim, because this is why the intent should not never stick. Because the intent, he didn't intend to unalive him. He's protecting himself. Now, let me ask you this question, Tim. Since we're having this conversation, and you can bring Quinn up after me. Since we're having this conversation, if I'm following, see, everybody talks about follow the law, be a law-abiding citizen, all of that shit. We talk about the law. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't break any fucking laws. He didn't. And see, this is what I'm saying. So now everybody say, well, the easy thing to do is just for him to leave. Well, the easier thing to do was for Austin and Hunter to mind their fucking business. See,
he's not going to jail for not leaving. He's going to jail for stabbing.
You're
arguing the wrong point.
But why do you guys keep talking about why did he leave instead of why did they just leave him alone?
Doesn't matter. The point is.
See, now it doesn't matter, Tim. See,
either way, I think you're wrong, but you're wasting time arguing the wrong point.
So wait a minute.
3 minutes, guys.
Fear of his life. Was he in danger?
He should have just left.
And did he have a right to defend himself with that?
Half-eaten corpse. Hang on. I don't know.
That's how he felt.
Okay, but that's how he felt. But that can't do enough to threaten him to the point where he had a reasonable expectation of great bodily harm.
Okay, MAGA, hold on. Let Mike wrap it up. Go ahead, Mike. Okay, we get it. MAGA, let him wrap it up. Go ahead, Mike.
It's just so funny to me, Tim, and this is what problem is in this country. They're asking why didn't he just leave, but them motherfuckers will not ask why didn't Austin and Hunter just mind their fucking business. He wasn't bothering nobody. He was sitting down there talking to a teammate of theirs, and that motherfucker didn't speak up and say, hey, he cool. He didn't do none of that. Nobody underneath that tent that was there before Austin and Hunter got there spoke up and said, he's cool. How come they're always focused on that he just should have left? No, they just should have left him the fuck alone. And we're not even having this conversation. You come, Tim, if you turn around from 5 rows down and come at me, yeah, bruh, we might have the same outcome. Am I trying to unalive you? Nope. But take your ass back where the fuck you came from. And Tim, you and I come from Tim, you grew up like I did. We say things like, okay, yeah, you can do that shit if you want to. Try that shit. That shit then. Right? So is that a warning or not, Tim?
It's a warning, but...
What's the warning?
Wait a minute. They ignored his warning because they said he ain't got nothing in his bag. Hold on, Maggie Reaction. Let me finish.
That's the warning of a fight, a punch.
They said, Tim, why did they heed his warning? They said he ain't got nothing in his bag. How come they didn't back the fuck off?
Did he warn them he had a knife? A lethal...
He didn't have to... I gotta tell you what I have? Just leave me the fuck alone. What I gotta do, pull out bubble gum? Tim, here's my thing.
None of that matters.
Tim, they called his bluff. They testified to this. He ain't got nothing in his bag. So his warning didn't stop them. They bet that he didn't have anything, Tim, and they lost. Did you know that part?
They lost big time. I gotta move it on, gentlemen.
No, hold on, Tim. Hold on, Maggie Reacts.
It looked like they were gonna cause him.
Hold on, Maggie Reacts. Tim, did you know that part?
The part that he warned them?
Yes.
No, but I'm going to assume that if somebody's fucking with you and you warn them, that the people you're warning are not thinking you're talking about killing them. I mean,
again, so again, Tim, does a warning matter? Do I have to tell you I'm going to unalive you, mace you? Do I have to tell you if you hit me, I'm going to mace you? Do I have to tell you what I'm going to do to you? Or if you really don't want no problems, when I say touch me and see what happens, and you really don't want no problems, why don't you just fucking not touch me?
Somebody say, if you touch me again, I'm gonna fuck you up or something like that. You're thinking they mean with their hands or something. You don't think they're about to pull a knife or a gun out of their backpack. Unless you live in the inner city. Like, where I'm from in Chicago, yeah, probably so. But I don't know. It's hard to just say.
Still be a victim. Would the person still be a victim if you gave him a warning? What if he said, stab your ass, and they kept coming and he stuck them? Then what, Tim?
I think that's a better, more ample warning at least.
Yeah.
So it's the level of the warning, not the person that won't leave you the fuck alone. Is that what we're talking about?
No, it's how much they're threatening him. You're focusing on all the wrong part.
No,
if
you are. But again,
then they just defend themselves from him trying to stab them. If they would have said to him, hey,
right,
get the fuck out of here or we're going to stab you, then he can stand his ground and fucking kill
shut
them.
up. That's not
all right, gentlemen, I gotta move it on. I gotta move it on.
You got bullied all the time with your little ass.
You don't know my life.
All right, gentlemen, you gotta be kind to each other, folks. I'd hate to see one of you guys at the bleachers. Tap the screen, get the likes up to 55,000. Man, this is a terrible one. Like I said, it's just a place to sit. You really willing to kill these motherfuckers over this seat? Yikes. All right, let me go back to the box. I don't know. Quinn was on hold. Alpha, Quinn, good evening.
Oh my God, thank you. Jesus, I've been trying to get a hold of you.
Well, you don't have to call me that, but I'll take it as a compliment. So what? Go ahead.
I'm coming for your neck. Number one, let's start here.
What are you, Derek Chauvin now?
Yes.
No.
I can't believe you let them slide with this, Tim.
What am I letting them slide with?
To allow them to continue to adultify our children. They hypersexualize our young girls, and then they sat there and they made that boy into a thug. Tim, you and I both know you don't touch nobody.
Okay.
You don't get to touch nobody. You don't get to walk up with me, Tim. You got a brother?
Yeah, two.
Two of them. If y'all two approach me with two of your homeboys, you think I think it's gonna be one-on-one?
No, I agree with that part, but
if you fight, do your brothers fight?
in the past, we old men now, but it's in the past.
Okay, so Tim, why would Karmelo sit there and think, man, this is gonna be me and this cat one-on-one?
Why would he? Then why keep pursuing the scenario then?
Tim, number one. Okay, let me calm down. I'm so excited to talk. You know, anytime me and you get to talk, I'm hyped. What I'm saying to you is, Tim, first of all, the boy came up from 5 rows. I coached college track and field. I coached at University of Akron, Texas Tech, Shorter University, Wayland Baptist, Langston University. So anybody can go. I coach track. I know track from the ground up. So what I'm telling you, number one, this is a football kid who doesn't know shit about track. And he came up and he decided he was going to enforce some rules because some coach told him you need to be a leader. First of all, that coach needs to be fired, and that coach needs to be in jail too. Because he sat there and decided to empower a 17-year-old. When have managing kids ever worked out well, Tim?
No. But I'm also the same about a kid bringing a knife to school. You're begging for problems.
Tim,
You're begging for
Tim,
problems.
let's deal with that. The detective.
I get it's legal. I get that it's legal. I get that it was legal.
Who deals with students sat there and said what he had was a tool, it was legal, and he could have it in the stadium.
Why would you have a tool for what?
Tim,
a tool for, no, I'm asking you, a tool for what?
It met all the criteria and legal standards. Are we going to talk about how we feel?
Wait, hold on. Well, this is about how I feel. Hold on. This is indeed about. Hold on. You want me to answer it or you want to talk? This is indeed about how I feel. I'm not denying that. Just like I don't think the average citizen living in Manhattan in a crowded environment like that should have a 50 cal. That's how I feel. That may not be the law. I'm admitting is how I feel because I'm saying you're opening up the door for shit to go really, really wrong. There are some Republican states that have passed laws that allow you to bring guns in bars and clubs. That's how I feel that you're making a situation that could go very wrong. Allowing children to bring blades to school is one of those.
Okay, I hear you, Tim, and I'm not even gonna say that you're wrong. But what I am gonna say is that the law is not on your side.
True. That is true.
So that's why I say they criminalize our kids. Because it was a white kid.
You think?
No, Tim, you can make that face if you want to. We just saw last week a black kid comply with every rule of a store, of a private business owner. He complied with every single rule that they had, and he ran over the length of a football field and was pew-pewed down, and nobody had to sit up here and pay a price for that.
That was fucked up. Let me ask you though, if Austin and Karmelo both were white, do you think the stabber would have got away with it?
Yes. Okay, flip it, Tim. I'm glad you said that.
They're both white. Nobody's black in this.
Tim, if Karmelo is white and 4 black kids walk up.
No. Let's take the racial element out. Let's say both parts. Hold on. We can tackle the racial element, but before we do that, I'm asking you, if both the race of the deceased and of the suspect were the same, do you think the suspect would have been convicted?
No. It would have been a much lesser charge, and nobody would have cared.
Nobody would have cared. I agree with that, but I think the person would have went to jail.
Tim, we see white kids all the time unalive other white kids, and what do they say? Thoughts and prayers.
Well, sometimes that happens. Yes.
Sometimes, Tim. Come on now.
I'm listening. I mean, when a white kid goes into a school full of white kids and blasts them all, they still say thoughts and prayers. That's just their go-to response.
And what happens? Now, they'll go ahead and they'll say, okay, we're going to give him this charge. And, he goes off and nothing is said about it. In our community, this wouldn't have happened. If this happens, they would have said, oh, black on black crime. Nothing big. But, Tim, I want you to answer my question.
Sure.
4 black kids walk up to a white kid. White kid decides, hey, I feel intimidated.
And stabs one of them.
Jeopardy, and he does this. Does that white kid spend a day in jail?
I would say it depends on the location of the crime. Hold on, let me tell you why. I mentioned this early in the program. Location. In the liberal area, I'm not sure that white kid gets off. In Texas, you got more of a chance of what you're saying. But in a liberal area, if it's happening if that happened in Chicago, for instance, look at how much actual credence or actual, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But they took Jesse Smollett with that whole MAGA. They took him serious in Chicago. And that never made sense to begin with. That would not have been taken seriously in Texas.
Got a lot of money. Jesse got a lot of money.
I'm just saying.
And that's why.
Even with his money in Texas, they would not have taken that seriously. So location does matter.
Okay, even if I give you that, Tim, 4 black kids walk up on a white kid. MAGA reacts as a whole different thing. He had to do it.
Yeah, I agree with that because he's trying to defend Derek Chauvin. He's making it clear that putting a knife in somebody's chest, you should know you're taking somebody's life, but sitting on somebody's neck for 9 minutes, well, that's kind of an accident. He is doing that. I agree with you there.
MAGA reacts as a microcosm of white America, Tim.
Ooh.
He reflects what white America really is.
You don't
speaks for white America.
You don't think all white Americans like that, do you?
I'm gonna say MAGA React speaks for how white America speaks when we're not around and they're at their own dinner tables with their kids.
You don't think all white America thinks like MAGA React, surely, right?
The vast majority. White people who I'm cool with called me and told me, I think he's guilty. Why the fuck did you call me? We ain't
You said, why the fuck you call me? Well, they wanted to talk to you.
We ain't got nothing to talk about. Because here's the thing. What they basically have said, black kids can comply with store owners and anything that they ask us to do. And they can gun our kids down.
Well, the store owner thing, look, don't put the store owner case in this. Don't Don't put the store owner case is so egregious. Don't put this. No.
White kids.
What?
It's not safe around white kids, and it's not safe around white male adults. I'll say it. I'll say it and take whatever flack comes from it.
Repeat your statement. Repeat your statement.
Black kids, black children are not safe around white kids, around white male adults. Period. Point blank. Full stop. That includes white, 18 and under, girls and boys. We ain't safe.
And then I'm going to ask you a question that's going to make my liberals and particularly my African Americans not like me. But if black kids are not safe around white males and other white kids, why the hell are most of them killed by other black people?
Tim, number one, us doing whatever we do, we end up getting justice for that.
Okay, I agree with that part. I agree with that part.
Tim, we don't get no justice when white folks do some harm to us.
That ain't all. So you're telling me a white person can go out. Hold on. You're telling me a white person can. Hold on. Let me respond. Let me respond first, Quinn. You're telling me that a white person can go out and cause physical harm to a black person, and they're guaranteed to get away with it.
Child, even though he's not white, he's a white alliance.
You didn't answer the question.
Yes.
That's not true. That is not true.
Show me the white man. Show me the white man.
There are plenty of white people in jail.
Show me.
You want me to show you somebody white that went to jail for harming a black person, as if that never has happened?
Outside of Chauvin, yeah, you got Chauvin. He was on. Tim, it has to be Derek Chauvin. Where's the justice for Trayvon? Where's the justice for Samir Rice? Where's the justice for?
There's a ton of cops. There was a cop in South Carolina that pulled the guy over for. Hold on, let me respond. You said you want me to give you cases. A cop that pulled a guy over in South Carolina for child support warrant or something. The guy, overweight dude, got out of the car and started running, and the cop just shot him in the back a bunch of times. That cop got 20 years for that. There are plenty of white guys that get punished for mistreating black. I'm not saying all of them do. I'm not saying the system is fair. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist.
You're right, Tim. You're right. Absolutes don't work. You're absolutely right, Tim.
Thank you.
Right. So let me rephrase it. The overwhelming majority of white men who commit crimes against us do not get punished. It has to be a high-profile case because there was body footage. He got what he got with what's his name in Louisville. He got his time because guess what? It was on body cam. But the overwhelming majority of white men who do harm to us, are you going to tell me that they get justice?
I don't know if there's a whole bunch of African Americans in 2026 claiming that they were victimized by white men, other than the cops.
What?
Other than the cops.
Okay.
Where is this happening at? I mean, look, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. There wasn't even white dudes around other than the cops. Where are you coming in contact with all these people?
Tim, do you trust? Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If you got stopped by a white cop,
cops.
do you trust him?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on the cops.
Okay. Do you trust white men to treat you the same?
Just an average white citizen.
Yeah.
No, because we don't treat them the same. No. No. People are biased toward their type. People are biased toward their type.
You're 6'6", 305.
Okay.
You think a white man ain't gonna be quick to draw down on you if you and him get into a little back and forth?
Possibly, but a black man might do the same shit.
Tim, you a big ass.
Did you not just hear what Mike? Hold on.
I wouldn't be worried about you doing a damn thing to me.
Did you not just hear what Mike said? Mike made it clear he would do that. He just said it before you. So what are you talking about?
I know you're a teddy man. You ain't about to do shit.
Mike just made it clear. Mike just made it clear. Take me out of the equation. He made it clear if another man, a black man that was bigger than him, he would bring out lethal force. So a black man would do that too.
I don't trust white folks, Tim.
I believe that.
I don't trust white folks as far as I can throw. I'm
might get done dirty by my own, but I'm more inclined to get my own.
That's what it, and that's what it is. That's more accurate. Is that if a black person does the same thing to you as a white person, you're going to hold a white person to a higher standard just because they're white. That's probably more the thing you said that I agree on. I think we will ignore blacks doing the same shit.
Do we not have a reason? Do we not have justification not to trust white folks?
Yeah, but you got justification not to trust your own kind too.
No, I don't.
Oh shit! You think
I ain't never been jumped by my own.
Really? You ain't never had your car broken into by another African American, or you ain't never had a robbery. None of this happened to you.
Tim, anytime my car's been broken into was when I was in a white neighborhood.
You one of the rare ones on that.
God, on my son's life, my car's been broken into 2 times. White neighborhoods.
I can tell you.
They were country white folk.
My car, when I was on the south side of Chicago, my car got broken into over the years about 7 times. I'm certain ain't but no white guy that ever done that. Because there was no white guy anywhere in my neighborhood for quite a while. It was African American. So I don't know where you lived at.
I don't trust them white folk for nothing, bro.
I believe that. You said that. I believe that.
But Tim, I got good reason. White folks ain't never done nothing to give me a reason to trust them. Nothing.
Okay.
You can't tell. Tim, if you're sitting up here telling me that, hey, guess what? We can unalive your kids when they follow the rules. Your kids can't defend that kid. The ultimate rule of everything is don't put your hands on nobody. Is that not right, Tim?
No. I don't.
Okay. He put his hands on that black child. And what have they done? Oh, it was a little tap. It was just a little tap. He didn't have no rights. He
put his hands on somebody.
He didn't have no right to touch that boy.
And so you're telling me the proper response is to kill him?
You can decide your actions. You don't get to decide my response.
I'm under the impression you don't get to use lethal force unless there is a serious case of bodily harm or death facing you.
No. What have white folks taught? If white folks ain't taught us nothing, they've taught us this. I feared for my life.
I'm going to ask you what Jay Skur, whatever in the comments is saying. He said, so now you're raising the youth to kill from a push. I agree with him to some degree.
How about this? How about you raise your kids to keep their hands to themselves?
How about do both?
My dad, this is exactly what my daddy taught me. He said, listen, don't you go out here and bully nobody, and don't you start nothing. But you damn sure finish anything that they start. And he said, we take all threats serious. You tell me you're gonna whoop my ass, I tend to believe you. So I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
So I'm gonna make sure. You support him bringing a knife to school.
I didn't have to bring a knife.
No, so you support what? So you don't believe you support Karmelo Anthony.
Ask me what I tote now. Because I'm going home.
I get that.
Tim, you know I'm going home. I ain't 6'6", 305. I can't just walk in a room.
I understand. I'm just simply saying this fuck around and find out culture that fuck around and find out is a white person word. Ours is I wish a motherfucker would. But they both are the same thing. Is that I'm prepared and I want somebody to do something to provoke me. That's what fuck around and find out. And I wish a motherfucker would is you want to be provoked. I ain't gonna start it, but I really want you to do something to provoke me to cause some serious harm to you. To me, that culture is hurting us as a people on both sides.
I don't want to be bothered. Leave me alone.
I get all of that, but don't just jump up to fucking murdering people, man. I'll give you the last one. I do gotta move it on, but
okay, I'm gonna say this. One, stop adultifying our kids. White folks, teach your kids to keep their hands to their motherfucking self. Because you can sit up and say whatever you want to about Melo. Here's the thing that we know. He alive.
Yeah.
He alive.
He is that. I don't think he was at risk of dying, though. That's where you and I disagree. I don't think he was at risk of dying.
What did Cube tell us, Tim? We were in the same
judged by 6, judged by 12, and carried by 6.
Hey, you give me a choice. I'll stand in front of 12.
All right. Well, Hopefully the man don't get the rest of his life in prison. I'm thinking 10 to 15 would be about fair. I got to move it on, though.
I think he wins in the appellate court.
Mike,
Texas is 2 races.
Mike says the same thing. You could be right. Because the way Mike orated it, he could be right. I mean, because they did. To me, I think murder is not accurate. I think it's manslaughter, but now that they're convicted of murder, it could be.
I'll tell you what. How about this, Tim? If he appeals it and he gets it at least knocked down to manslaughter,
I don't think he can.
I want a nice bottle of wine. You pick.
I'll see you. I'll see if I can find a bottle of Austin Metcalf to see you. I gotta go. Tap the screen, get the lights on up to 75,000. Help your boy out with the hat and mustache TikTok cap go. This is not the best topic. We were going to be talking about the booing at the Knicks game, Trump falling asleep. Is it wrong to boo a president? And of course, Trump has said that Iran is developing Iran is they're really close. Thank you, Cedric. I think that was Trump has said that Iran. We're close to getting a peace. We're close to getting a ceasefire deal with Iran. Trump has said that 37 times. That was what our topic was going to be about. The fact that Trump has stated, and Iran just attacked Israel, I think last night or the night before last. Trump has been saying we're close to getting a ceasefire with Iran. He said that 37 times since this war began. That's what we were going to talk about. I was going to also have a side topic on once the jury started deliberating on whether you thought this guy was guilty or innocent. But while I was preparing for the show, the jury came back and said, lock the motherfucker up. So this is what happened. I don't know. We got to, the sentences, they're in the sentence phase now. How many years, in the comments, just state how many years, and I'm afraid to even ask this question to some of my audience, but how many years you think he should get? He has been convicted. Now, let's not talk about the appeal right now, because that will happen. But let's go with the fact that he's been convicted of murder. How many years? Because murder comes with years. You don't get 0 for a murder charge. How many years should this guy who's been convicted of murder get now that that's officially happened? He's not going to get none, so typing 0 is a pipe dream. If he gets an appeal and wins, that's different. But right now, as it stands, he's on murder. Somebody said time served. How long? He hasn't been in jail any. He was out on bond. There is no time served. You can't give him time served. That's basically 0. On YouTube, I'm getting a variety of answers going from, I think the lowest I see is 15. There's a substantial amount of 99s and lives in here. You guys on YouTube are just hang them high, huh? Jay Sid says 6 to 8. If I actually think that's fair, I would 6 to 8 is where I'm at on it. I don't think he should walk. I don't think he should fry. That's where I'm at. He didn't intend to kill that boy. He was protecting himself. I'm not totally buying the argument that he felt his life was in danger and he had to use a knife. I believe in what the system does not require you to do. And Mike set me straight on this. Feelings versus what actually is the law. I just believe if you think you're dealing with an overwhelming force, don't go up against it. He is like, well, I know I got a knife on me, so I'm going to go up against these motherfuckers. Oh, there you go. Pobo says, Tim, do you run away with your gun? That's why you carry it. No, I believe, I watch a lot. Any of you guys watch Active Self-Protection? That's a good question, Pobo. I'll answer it. If you guys watch Active Self-Protection, he gives you the defense lessons on, firearm defense and things like that. One of the points he makes, and I agree with 100%, is you win every fight you don't get in. Even if you defend yourself with a firearm and win. Let's take George Zimmerman, Kyle Rittenhouse. You still go through so much fucking anguish that you may have PTSD. There are photos of Kyle Rittenhouse on the stands in tears. He had to lay in the bed at night staring at the ceiling for quite a while, wondering whether or not he'll go to jail for murder. He wasn't feeling like, I got white privilege, I'm going to get away with this. No, they were trying to string his ass up in Wisconsin. Same thing with George Zimmerman. So the point I'm making is even if you carry, which I do and many of you do probably too, you still should try to avoid gunfights because there's no guarantee you're not going to get an overzealous prosecutor, a bad cop, bad witnesses that say shit happened that didn't. If you can avoid that fight where you don't absolutely have to fire in self-defense, avoid it. I'm not a fan of this stand your ground shit where you actually could have avoided it, but because the law says you don't have to, you're going to stand there and fire. I'm not a fan of stand your ground because I do believe it promotes that kind of shit. You know, look, if somebody got you cornered or you got 5 guys got you hemmed up and they're threatening to take your life, they all got knives and you happen to have a firearm, that's different. But if you actually have a way out, take the fucking way out. I didn't have to run, so I killed the motherfuckers. Okay. Well, now you got to pay perhaps thousands in legal fees to defend your case and all of that other stuff that go along with it. And then you still going to probably have some people, even if you win, thinking you're a murderer. Because there are reports that George Zimmerman is financially not doing very well and having a hard time finding employment or anything. Because even though he won, a lot of people think he's still a murderer. And I don't think Kyle Rittenhouse is necessarily able to walk around and go anywhere he wants to either. If you don't have to take a life, choose that option is what I'm going to say. That's the way I look at it. If you have the way out that counts against reasonable fear for your life, not in the stand your ground states it don't. Even if you have a way out, stand your ground states say you have no duty to retreat. You can stand there and go blaze and go out in a blaze of glory. Kill them. You don't have to do that. They still have sundown towns in Texas. I've heard about that, Vidor, Texas. It's different in Texas, Tim. Yeah, it is. And that's why, look, it might be different in Texas with the stand your ground shit, but it ain't different when you still got to go to court and defend yourself against a murder charge. And let's say even if Austin Metcalf is found not guilty, he still had to do just like Rittenhouse and Zimmerman, where he's laying there staring at the ceiling at night, wondering what it's going to be like to get prison if he gets it. His family is still out of all of that legal money that you don't get back. That's going to happen whether or not you get away with it or not. If you have the option of leaving and preventing all that from happening, just leave. Just leave. That's what I'm saying. Even though the state says you don't have to leave, you can stand your ground and still have to go through all of that bullshit. I don't see how that's a win. Yeah, I stopped this person. They're no longer with us, but it cost me $90,000 in legal fees. I had to mortgage my home, and my neighbors hate me now. I don't see it being worth all of that. That's just my take on it. Crazy how this trial is just race bait. Both kids messed up, took it too far. Stevie D, I do agree with that. They did take it too far. Let me go back to the box, tap the screen, help people out the hat mustache, TikTok cap go. I know I'm gonna be getting fired upon all night for my views on this, but that's what we do here. It's all about free speech. Stick, you got a pushback. Give it to me.
So the pushback is this. When the young man ran out of the store and supposedly he had a weapon, how did the father and the son get off by also he getting pew-pewed in the back?
I didn't follow that case, and from what I've heard, I do not understand why. I absolutely think it sounds like he went after the guy for over 100 yards. I don't understand how the hell that would happen. Sometimes you get a jury, because I don't see how O.J. Simpson got off, to be honest with you. Sometimes you get a jury that just rules in a wild manner.
No, in both of the cases, in the reverse, one defending himself, the other one running away, which is both of what we got going on right now, right? You were saying run away, the little boy ran away. Somehow, some way, it turned into I had to defend my son, but y'all two are chasing one person.
I'm not here to defend the store owner. To me, that case looks terrible. But in regards to you saying in reverse, to me, O.J. Simpson is a perfect case of reverse. I get O.J. Simpson had a lot of money, but fact is, a big black dude took the life of an attractive white woman, and he got off on it. So there are those rare cases like that. You personally would never have predicted that guy was going to get away with that.
You said rare cases. That's the only case goddammit. It's the only case.
Well,
Stop that shit.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's the only case. It's the only one that went that big.
I wait.
I'm not going to be able to.
Exactly, because that's the only one. That's why everybody was out on the streets dancing and shit, because he was the first black dude to ever unalive a white woman and get away with the shit.
I don't even.
Even though they had DNA, even though they had gloves and all this other shit, somehow, some way, the LAPD was so smart to plant everything on OJ.
Let me ask you, do you think, let's take somebody like Ben Roethlisberger, a big white NFL player. You think if he had done that to Jada Pinkett, he would have got away with it?
Ben Roethlisberger doing it to Jada Pinkett?
Yeah, small black woman, big white dude. If he had done the same thing OJ did, do you feel confident because he's white, he would have got away with it?
I'm gonna say it just like this: Jada Pinkett and OJ's white ain't on the same level. That's number one. Don't nobody care about him. I'm being real.
Then just like a random black woman. Do you think Ben Roethlisberger could have damn near decapitated a random black woman that was his former spouse and got away with it?
Hell yeah!
Oh my God! I don't believe that. I don't buy that.
Listen. They wouldn't have had to come up with what's my boy name? What was the lawyer's name again? Johnny Cochran. They wouldn't have had to get Johnny Cochran.
I don't look. I'm on your side partially that I do believe the system. I think that the statistical probability that you'll face an adverse system if you are a minority is greater. I'll agree with you there. But I don't believe in the notion that being white guarantees you can do something to a black person and get away with it. I think you guys are taking the racism further than where it actually stands. You guys are making it sound. You just said Ben Roethlisberger could damn near decapitate a black woman and get away with it. That ain't.
Just like the little boy raped his sister, stuffed her up under the Carnival Cruise bed. After he did what he did. And he's still walking around. Yeah, like that.
So let me see if the audience, once again, let the audience guide me on this. Do you, yes or no, do you agree with my caller that Ben Roethlisberger, big burly NFL quarterback, former quarterback, could just yes or no in the comments, do you believe that if you reverse the races, that a white NFL player could just wipe out, decapitate, which is what he did to Nicole Brown Simpson. He could just decapitate a black woman and get away with it just because of his skin color. Yes or no? How many of you folks in the comments believe that? I don't buy that.
I guess I agree. Look, man, look, Tim. As much as you live in that MAGA world, as much as you like going in their lives and getting beat up and shit, somehow, some way, when you come back, it's like they said everything that they did. I don't understand. I don't understand it to be so many racist people, so many MAGA reacts. I ain't got no respect for him at all. He don't know shit. He just talks.
Let me. I get your take on MAGA reacts. A lot of my guests feel the same way about him. Shit, the way some of the things he said, I may be on that same train. But let me just say this in regards to your statement. We know how this country was when you could actually do anything you wanted to African Americans get away with it. You found them hanging from trees. Let me finish. There were plenty of them getting raped all the time. The reason why I disagree with you and many other callers is because I believe if white males could get away with doing anything to African Americans, they would be doing it. If they felt confident, they could get away with it like you're saying, it would be happening considerably more than what the African American community is complaining about.
Okay,
it will be happening a lot.
What that tells us is there's not really a lot of racists, right? Now, the majority may be MAGA, but MAGA's only 37% or something like that of the Republican Party. That's what MAGA is.
Yeah, but all you need is, if you got one or two people that really likes taking people out. That one, if they know there ain't gonna be no justice, you could have a Jeffrey Dahmer where 1 or 2 people got multiple bodies under them.
So what you're saying is you don't know about all of these people's properties that they sold, and they found all of these bodies on there, right? Whether it be from the 1800s.
We're not talking about 1800s.
No. Listen, let me finish. We're talking about generation upon generation that have been unaliving black folks and burying them on their land. These folks go missing. And now that they're selling their property and people are doing surveys, they're finding all of these bodies. That's what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is just because you don't know that it's happening, don't mean that it ain't happening. Okay. Like MAGA Reacts and tell you come up and say, oh, just because we didn't see voter fraud don't mean it ain't happening. I'm saying the same thing, but on a more serious issue, which we're finding out that it's happening or it has happened with groups of white folks, especially in the South, after selling their land, they keep finding all of these bodies that ain't they people. So then why did Derek Chauvin and some of these cops go to jail? If you can just get away with it, why is he in jail? Because it was video.
And you can get away with it though.
No. He didn't get away with it because it was video. It was people actually telling him, hey man, get off his neck. It was citizens telling him, hey man, can't you see he ain't moving, man, get off of him. You do realize a lot of those citizens saying get off his neck were white, right? I don't care. What did I just say? We just found out that it ain't all of them, but it's a lot of them out there that have done it and got away with it. Just like I said, it don't matter which one you choose, whether I stand my ground like young Melo did, or whether I run like the young man did from the Chinese man. The outcome is almost basically the same.
Tony Parker said it was too big to rig. He said it was too big to rig. Okay.
Right. What Mac React said. So my whole point is this. Either way, the outcome is basically the same. One person may have to go to prison for the rest of their life or close to it, and the other person is unalive, and both parents are feeling the same anguish as if their child ain't there.
Yeah, that's true.
So again, whether you run like you're saying, hey man, it was two Asian men coming at that young man. He was running for his life, still got unalive. Melo stood his ground. Guess what? Now his life is over in the sense that he got to go to prison or jail. It's the same goddamn outcome, Tim. And the reason is the only thing. But that goes exactly to what I just said about how staying your ground, even if you get away with it, can still be traumatizing. That Asian dude, he didn't know he was gonna get away with that. You got to think he paid tens of thousands in legal fees and all of that. Even if you win, understand your ground laws, you probably are affected for life. It probably ain't even safe for that dude to go back and operate that store either. Good, fuck him. He took a child's life. Fuck him. I feel the same way about him I do about Duke.
Look, I'm not arguing with that, but what I'm saying is this whole stand your ground shit. People do not understand that even if you stand your ground and win, there's still likely going to be lifelong consequences you're going to be dealing with for that. It is not that easy when you just go out and blast or shank somebody and you walk away free. There's going to be stuff following you forever. People need to realize that.
Don't listen, Tim. The person that don't go to jail, all of that shit, you had to go through that. You made that choice, right? Just like Melo, he got to face prison because he made a choice. What I'm saying is, the Asian dude got off. Melo didn't. And Melo ain't chased nobody down. Melo didn't leave the tent.
The Asian dude got off from the system. But what I'm telling you is that dude probably needs to be looking over his shoulder for the rest of his life, his business. He didn't get off. He got off from this. His life has still been greatly affected by him doing that dumb shit. He should be in prison. I'm not defending what he did and saying he shouldn't been in prison. I don't know how the hell, other than maybe some racism, that he got away with that. But what I'm saying is, don't think that this dude just got away and he's sitting at home sipping on Mai Tais. His life is he's going to pay a price for that.
Listen, this is his third time, Tim. Fuck him. He don't care. It ain't bothering him. He's free.
No, he's not. He ain't free. He can't just go driving through the fucking hood. He ain't free. There's a ton of places he can't go.
So time out. So he can do it 2 times, right?
He ain't free. He ain't free.
So he can do it 2 times and be at the same location. You don't mean to tell me he ain't gonna do the same shit he been doing, which is live his fucking life like he did after the first 2 times?
Would it surprise you if you heard somebody walked in this store and just blasted him? Would that surprise you?
Guess what? After the first time, somebody should have did it.
That's what I'm saying. He ain't. Well, this time it's been televised and people know about it. That dude ain't free.
I ain't got. Listen, Tim. You trying to tell me something like right now? Trying to tell Maggie React something? I ain't listening to that shit.
Okay.
Fuck him.
I'm not disagreeing with you on the fucking party. To me, he should be under the jail. But where you and I disagree is the claim that he's walking around free like nothing happened. No, that dude got to watch his fucking back.
He is. And then if he goes back to the store and we find out something happened to him at the store, that's definitely proof that he don't give a fuck. And he gonna stand his ground again. And he gonna run out of the store. He gonna unalive one of our black babies again. Fuck him, Tim.
You would be the first.
And guess what? I wish I knew where that store was at because I want all the smoke.
Bro, you think that's the point I'm making is he can't go to that store because there's a lot of sticks out there that feel the same way.
Fuck him. And if the little Metcalf boy wasn't underage, I say fuck him too.
We'll leave it at that. We'll end it at fuck you.
When he unalive, I guess he was underage. I guess he was 17.
He was 17. Both of them were 17. Yeah.
So being that he was underage, I ain't gonna do that. But if he was 18 or better, it should be a big fuck.
All right, we'll leave it at that. All right, Stick. Appreciate it. Thanks for the pushback as always. By the way, folks, tap the screen, get the likes on up to 90,000. What do we say? We are MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor. I understand this is a topic that MAGA and the left are going to have a totally different opinion on it. Black and white are going to have a totally different opinion on it, as you may see. But we do believe in free speech. We believe in criticism wherever it may lie. You can be critical of anybody on this program, including me, which I seem to be a whipping boy today because of my opinion on this. But that's what it's like to run a free speech show. If you favor free speech, open dialogue from all sides of the aisle, if you're currently watching us live on Instagram, Substack, TikTok, or Clapper, follow the program. We're here most weekdays. You happen to be watching us live on YouTube, give your boy a sub. Looking in the comments, there ain't no stand your ground when you bring a weapon in an unauthorized area. That's not true though, Doug. As they've been pointing out, one of the detectives testified that he was legally able to carry that knife on him. Now the school did not want him to have, the school may have had a rule where you can't carry weapons on the school grounds, but that's not against the law. They could just trespass him and make him move. Just like there's a lot of 2A folks out there that will tell you, even, especially in liberal cities, like Walmart has a sign on the door that says no firearms. And they be like, fuck that. I'm going to carry my shit inside because I would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. There's a lot of folks who say, screw the private, that's just a private business saying you can't carry a weapon. A whole lot of 2A people don't adhere to that. A lot of 2A people say, I carry my firearm in church, wherever. I don't care if they got a sign outside of the church or outside of the school or whatever saying you can't carry a firearm. A lot of 2A people carry their gun right up in those places. That's what he did. He didn't listen to maybe what the school suggested. He went with the law, and he carried a knife into the school. And there you go. I'm not a fan of it for the simple fact, like I said earlier in the live, I don't believe everybody has the mentality to carry a lethal weapon. I mean, we all know people who are hot-headed, people who you ever see the movie Casino, Nikki, the character. I forget Joe Pesci is his name in real life. There are plenty of people like that that are in our world. Person like that has no business carrying anything lethal because it doesn't take much to make them snap. We all know people like that. And I just believe that some folks should not. To me, Austin Metcalf or Karmelo Anthony was a person like that. He could have avoided this. So could the deceased. Talking about Austin Metcalf, he too could have avoided it. But this guy could have avoided this. He didn't have to do this. You're dealing with two folks, at least two, the Austin Metcalf brothers or whatever. They're both bigger and stronger than you. And you decide to stand your ground because you know you have a lethal instrument on you. You don't have to do that. You could actually just say, fuck it, this sitting here ain't that important. As many of you folks are pointing out, these two big motherfuckers are about to fight me on the bleachers where I could get seriously hurt. Well, because he got a knife, he decides to stand there anyway. Everybody ain't meant to carry a weapon, in my opinion. I just think some folks don't know, anybody to me yelling, fuck around and find out. To me, it just sounds like you'd rather be on the blasting end of it. Great live, retired in the Philippines watching. Wow, you are worthy of a show in yourself. Something I've done and thought about doing again, going to other countries and living. The school may have rules that state no student is allowed to carry any kind of weapon on campus during school hours and doing events on campus. That only applies to students. Yeah, it only applies to students, and it does not violate state law. If the student carries a weapon on campus, they'll just be escorted off. If that weapon is legally allowed to carry state law-wise, they'll just get them off of there. Just like I mentioned the Walmart example, or carrying a gun in church, and the church has a sign that says no firearms inside. People still carry it in there. This guy stabbed somebody and threatening him, and these ignorant ass fools get on here and say, well, he shouldn't have pushed him. LOL, yeah, right. I'm trying to think. I think that, look, I think there's some similarities between this and George Zimmerman's case. Because to me, I think George Zimmerman is another perfect example of somebody who didn't keep their hands to themselves, engaged in somebody that was bigger and stronger, and only done it because they had a lethal weapon on them. I think it's very similar. George Zimmerman chased Trayvon Martin off into the middle of the night because he believed he was stealing something. That's what he said on the 911 recording. These people always get away with it. Now, he's completely wrong about it. And 911 is telling him, don't do this. We'll send somebody out. He decides to do it anyway. In my opinion, very similar to Karmelo Anthony because he knows he has a lethal item on him. Just like I don't think Karmelo Anthony would have continued doing this if he didn't have that knife on him. George Zimmerman would not have chased Trayvon Martin into the dark if he didn't have that gun on him. Both cases very similar. And in both cases, somebody ended up dying when they could have, neither case it had to happen. Anyway, looking in the comments, tap the screen, get the lights on up. I think in both cases it's like that, but we'll make it happen with another one of my detractors. Miss Mobetta, asinine. Talk to me.
Yeah, Tim.
Say my opinion is asinine. What? Explain.
Yeah. First, we're going to stop acting like the justice system in this country is not lopsided.
No, hold on. I made it clear that the statistical probability of you having an adverse outcome is greater if you're a minority. Where I disagree is that if you're a white guy, you can just go around killing black people and get away with it. That's where I disagree.
Yeah, no, that only if it's not televised. Like, listen, we know if the video of Derek Chauvin, if there was no video, his ass would have got up. They still having moments of silence for this motherfucker. They still having moments of silence for him.
So you're telling me that if your camera went out and a white guy came to your house right now and took your life because it ain't on video, he's guaranteed to get away with that?
Yeah, most likely. You're laughing. Cause what are they gonna say? Oh, because I live in a black area or something that a black guy did it?
They don't. do gumshoe work. They don't check for fingerprints and DNA, and they don't convict any white guy on that.
They do sometimes. However, on to this case right here. So it was a school event, which wasn't on school property. It was a school event being held. They didn't put his brother on the stand. Ask yourself why not. They didn't put the brother on the stand.
Mm-hmm.
So why if this was on school, the school property has everything to do with school, why is he being tried as an adult?
You're 17. You're going to get tried as an adult for most things you do that are major felonies at 17. That's kind of the norm.
So they keep saying, so why, it's a school event. Why would he bring something to, why would he have a pocket knife or whatever, which the pocket knife was legal. They did the measurements and all kinds of stuff. It was legal. It wasn't illegal for him.
Some of this can be explained, but Karmelo Anthony didn't take the stand, Ms. Mobetta. Some of that could have been explained if he had took the stand and said that stuff.
Well, that's going to my next point. His defense team failed him. His defense team failed him. For whoever they chose or wherever they got him from, his defensive team failed him. Because there's plenty of arguments that that boy would not be going to prison.
Okay,
This is America. Number one. Number two, that's southern states. We already know that they have a whole different set of rules down there when it comes to people that look like us. The proof is in the numbers. Go check the stats, not just my opinion.
How about this? Chi-Town23 in the comments said, asking the question everybody's asking over and over again. I want you to answer this. The question she asked is, or she or he asked is, why did he bring a pocket knife to attract me?
Maybe the pocket knife was already in his bag. Who knows? And from the stories that we've heard, he's had problems with those guys before, alleged that he's had problems before. Maybe he felt but he had a right to be there just like anybody else. Now, those kids, Austin Metcalf and his twin brother were the bullies around campus. They were the bullies because of the connections that their father had. This is where the privilege, and I didn't say black or white, it was the privilege because his father is a sheriff or something like that, right? He's friends with the judge, the DA. So they had connections to where we the shit around here. What we says goes. So the kid, Karmelo had permission to be in the tent. He already got permission before they came over there and said, you gotta leave. Who are they to tell that boy that he had to leave?
I don't argue with that, but I think I agree with you about his defense team failed him because that is important. He should have explained why he had a knife there. If they were ongoing bullies, that's another thing. You should have, because if you can paint a case where they've been fucking with you more than once, now people are starting to understand because most people know somebody else that's been bullied. If you can show where these people were always doing shit, I just think Karmelo Anthony should have done more to defend himself.
He did. And guess what? It is a lose-lose situation. Nobody won in this case. And I agree with everybody else. When they take it to the appellate court, he will win an appellate court.
Well,
hopefully they have a whole better defense team that will represent him in there because there's plenty of different laws and stuff that they could have used and tactics that Karmelo should not be going to prison. I'm sorry. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it.
Gates the Conservative says, so all 27 witnesses lied and conspired against Karmelo? Seriously? Now, I didn't watch the case enough to give a...
I don't know. I wasn't in the courtroom as to what was said. I don't know. But you people lie every day. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
True.
People lie. They do. I mean, what do you want me to say to that? Like, come on, don't be condescending with me.
Yeah.
I got time to that.
Here's an interesting one. Someone in the comments, I don't know what the name, J27 says, if his parents would have used the money they got to pay for a good lawyer instead of a new house.
Well, whatever their parents did with that money, that's on them. However,
so on their kids.
Maybe they should have.
Yes.
You know, put the house up for the
lawyer. That does look kind of fucked. That does look kind of fucked up. Your kid is fighting for his life and you out buying a crib.
Simply because we know we are at the bottom of the chain when it comes to stuff like that. You need top-notch attorneys to represent. You're already fighting a double negative.
That looks bad.
If they had to eat peanut butter and jelly and oodles and noodles the rest of their life,
Right.
that's what I would have done to make sure my son is free.
Yeah, that looks bad. You buying a house while your kid is fighting for his life in court?
But I am going to speak to that because that wasn't true. That was rumors and stuff that they had put out of what the people spent that money on. It was not true.
So they didn't buy a house? They didn't buy one?
Yeah, no, not on the account of the money that was raised. No.
Oh, so they bought a house with just a different account.
You can go look it up if they like. They can go look it up and do whatever. You understand? But the objective here is to demonize the actual victim, which is what happened. Karmelo was the actual victim, regardless of the end results. So we're in a country where the reaction is judged and never the action, never the cause. It's always the reaction. The cause is never judged. So they totally forgot that those kids really tried to bully him. Like, who are they? They thought their position and the people that they were connected to would get them off. They didn't know. You don't know what state of mind that boy was in. You went and fucked around and found out.
Do you believe that, okay, because everybody's admitted that Austin Metcalf and his brother were significantly bigger than Karmelo Anthony. Do you believe he would have still continued challenging them if he didn't have that knife?
I believe he would have. You don't know what you do when you're in a fearful position. You yourself, Tim, me either. I don't know what my next move would be if I'm confronted with a situation where I think somebody's gonna do something to me. I don't know what I'm gonna be liable to do. Anything can happen at that moment. When you're in that moment, you can't say what you could have, would have, did until you're faced with that situation. You cannot do that.
I think that this would have helped this case a little bit more if he had it, and I hate to say it this way because I wouldn't want this to happen to me, but it would have helped this case more if he had at least some bruises on him. I mean, the fact that you don't kill somebody and you ain't been touched, that's what it.
Do you know when dogs and stuff get cornered in and they get into that mode where they're afraid?
He's not cornered, Miss Mobetta. He's not cornered.
Come on, bro. Come on.
You think he was being cornered on the bleachers? So you're making it sound like he had no other option but to do this. He couldn't leave or anything. He was cornered.
He could have left, but again, he was there minding his business. Why should he have to leave? Why?
Because he may go to. Why should he? Hold on.
You're saying that he should appease them. He should appease them because they felt like they were the bully on the campus and what they said was law. That's not true. They should have left him alone.
What?
And
No.
if he wasn't supposed to be there, why didn't they go get the authority?
I'm not arguing any of that. What I'm simply saying is, just because you got a fool doing something, you need to look out for yourself. You may take this fool out, and you may end up spending thousands in legal fees and wondering if you're going to go to prison. It ain't about them. It's about you. If you're not cornered, leave. That's my point.
It wasn't about him. And again, hey, listen, ego got the best of both of them.
Yeah. Right.
Ego did get the best of both of them. But again, even if he does get any time, it should be less than 5 years, in my opinion. Less than 5 years.
He's convicted of murder, Miss Mobetta.
No, he did not. Manslaughter at best.
I agree with the manslaughter, but unfortunately, he was convicted. I agree with him. He was convicted of murder, though. He wasn't convicted of manslaughter.
And that's where the fuckery is. That's where the fuckery lies. And especially if you talk about first-degree murder, you got to prove that he was intent. When he left this house today, I'm gonna go unalive these people.
I got a strong one for you. This one is coming from Jeepin 38 says, "Tell me you're racist without telling me you're racist. Saying a murderer should go." Hold on, let me finish it though. Says saying a murderer should go free just because the other kid is white.
No, that's bullshit. It ain't got nothing to do with him being white. He stood his ground. They were bullies.
Let me ask you then.
And let me tell you something about karma. You can't pick and choose when karma shows up.
you're saying it ain't about race or whatever. Let me ask you, if Karmelo Anthony had been convicted for stabbing another black kid in the same manner for the same reason, would the black community have been equally as pissed?
It probably would, but you know what? It wouldn't have got this attention. If he had unalived another black kid, it would not be getting the same attention as it is because it was Austin Metcalf. So you could do a 360 with your head. That's not gonna change. Like, come on, bro. And first of all, it had nothing to do with race. It's the situation, but my opinion ain't got nothing to do with the race. He stood his ground and they tried to bully him. And again, they both, it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, and I see in the comments, Ray says next time someone fucks with you, Tim, run and leave. You know, to be honest with you, as somebody who carries, if I can foresee a threat coming from somebody, yeah, every fight you don't get in is a fight you win. Just because I don't have a duty to retreat and I can stand my ground and I know I'm armed and I know I can handle them because I got lethal force. No, you're right. I would actually retreat from that situation because I don't want to end up hoping that the system does not mistreat me because of my skin color or something crazy or paying tons of legal fees. I don't want to deal with that.
You know, I get it. But again, you don't know what the next moment is going to bring. So, but we talk about race. I don't know if you're reading your comments with your
Yeah, that's where that came from. That's where that comment came from.
Proud Boys and all kinds of shit like that. You know who's gonna be deported first? Is y'all thieving asses. Y'all thieving asses who run on the fact that Christopher Columbus discovered this motherfucker. So if anybody needs to be deported, is y'all coming from over there in the Caucasus Mountains. That's who they need to deport first. No. Because the way this country is running now, y'all been in control most of its existence. Almost all of its existence, y'all have been in control and it's been straight fucked up ever since. So if you want to go there, let's go there.
Before I'm moving on from you, I want you to answer this, and I may have an answer for it myself. Rebel Nightwing, thank you for the support, says the reason he needs to go to prison is because he took the coward's path. Back in the day, we used to fight with our hands. Nowadays, all over TV and music pushes the coward's path. So in other words, he went straight lethal, and he's saying that, back in the day we used to fight with our hands. How do you respond to that?
Oh, so his first swing was a lethal one. No, that's not true. They were in a whole fight first. It was a whole drawn out thing where they tried to drag him on the bleachers and everything. So we got to stop selecting parts of the story. Tell the whole fucking story.
You saying that they were in a full on fight? And he has no marks.
It wasn't just him and his brothers. It was like 4 or 5 of them.
Everybody in the comments are saying you're lying about that. They're saying it didn't go beyond a push.
Okay, whatever. They shouldn't have touched him.
But I'll tell you this: if they're in a full on fight with two much bigger dudes that are so much of a threat, you got to use lethal force. You're in a full on fight with them. Your face should be lumped up. Show us what made you do this. You had to be losing, right?
Maybe he's a strong little black dude. I can't talk. I can't answer to that, Tim. I can't talk. I can't speak to as to why he don't have his face ain't bruised up. Maybe the guys he was fighting was two big pussies.
I don't think they were in a fight in this one, but I got to move it on. But I think he got shoved, and I think that
they shouldn't have touched him.
I agree with that, but you can't kill somebody for touching you.
Why is that kid dead then?
Because the guy allegedly murdered him, says the system. Because
he touched him.
Yeah, he's dead because he was murdered, says the system. Last word to you. I got to move it on.
They should have left him alone. Stop acting like that bully caught up with their ass. That's all that did.
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. Ms. Mobetta, thank you very much. And here's what, like I said, I cannot say this strong enough. I cannot believe so many folks are in favor of this stand your ground shit. This is what happens with stand your ground. This is what happens when you let your ego and your possession of a lethal weapon take control and dictate your actions. Whether or not you're convicted or found innocent, you still have to pay tons of legal fees. You may sit in jail, assuming you get bond or not. And you're going to certainly be wondering in your mind constantly that whole time, what happens if I get sentenced? What happens if I'm found guilty? My spouse, my kids, my fucking job, all my worldly possessions, my home, my car, all of that. You're wondering all of that. Even if you find, I mentioned Cal Rittenhouse, I mentioned George Zimmerman, they were found innocent. You think they didn't have all of those concerns? What happens if I'm convicted? What happens to, George Zimmerman had a woman and shit. I don't feel sorry for Zimmerman at all. I don't feel sorry for Cal Rittenhouse at all. To me, Cal Rittenhouse, even though I believe what Cal Rittenhouse did was an act of self-defense, once again, stupidity and ego put him in that situation. Just like in this case, two individuals, stupidity and ego, one's gone, one's on his way to prison potentially. Stupidity and ego put themselves in those situations. So I'm just simply saying this whole promotion of stand your ground, even if you got a way out, no, stay there and smoke them motherfuckers. No, I think it's stupid. Or fuck around and find out, depending on what race you're talking about. I think it's stupid. I really do. Tim, better yet, Gen X says, the fight you don't get in is the fight you win. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. This was absolutely avoidable by both parties involved. Absolutely avoidable. Both of them, Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony. A federal building and a church, they are against the law. In the comments, your ego is a bad thing. Stand your ground unless you can get away. True. And I'll tell you this. It's one thing to have an ego. It's another thing to have an ego and a weapon. To me, you should be, I can't even get my words together right. I guess what I'm trying to say is your ego should get even less once you start carrying something lethal. If you normally have an ego, it should be even more submissive when you carry a firearm. Because now you're bringing a gun or a knife or something lethal to every fight you get in. Every fight you get in, the minute you start losing, there's a good chance you may end up taking somebody's life. So you should even be less likely than the average person to get into something. You really should be trying to avoid shit because you got something lethal on you. Apparently, a lot of folks disagree with me on that, and that's why we're here, and we will be here again. We will be here again. There will be another Stay Your Ground case in the future to talk about. It may have a racial tint to it like this one. It may not, but there will be more of these because folks keep thinking this way. Kenosha was crazy. City of Flame Antifa there. Kyle took care of it. Kyle didn't take care of shit. Kyle Rittenhouse went there and got lucky he didn't lose his fucking life. The only reason Kyle Rittenhouse didn't lose his life is because dropkick guy with the skateboard missed him, and the other guy, bicep guy who was carrying a pistol, just decided not to shoot his ass. That's the only reason Kyle Rittenhouse is still with us. That dude with the pistol was only a few feet away from Kyle Rittenhouse. He could have took him out without a problem. Kyle Rittenhouse got lucky. He didn't take care of shit. He put himself in a dumbass predicament that I guarantee you he wouldn't do again. I guarantee you would not do that again. He got lucky. That's all that is. He didn't take care of nothing. I'm here to guard the properties. Get the fuck out of here. And just like the rest of these folks I'm talking about, he would not have done that if he didn't have that AR. There's no way in hell he would have went there and did that without that firearm. He, just like Zimmerman, and unfortunately, looks like just like Carmelo Anthony, let the fact that they were carrying something lethal put them in a situation that they would have knew not to do if they didn't have those weapons on them. People don't understand there's a lot of responsibility to carry a weapon. It can cost you your freedom. Yep, Chi-Town, 100% agree with that. Two brothers in Carmelo, one died, and Hunter and Carmelo should be at fault for the whole thing. Just peacock shame. I don't know what you're going with that. Tap the screen. Help your boy with the hat and mustache. Get up to 110. Looking in the comments here, I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. We'll go to Have Eaten. What does that say? On Clapper, we got a guess.
What's up, man?
Good evening. Now, you said you're in Texas, right?
Well, I moved from Texas. I'm currently in Arizona, but I grew up in Texas.
Okay.
And I do have several personal experiences with stand your ground laws.
Okay.
Family member blood is currently serving a life term in prison because they thought they were justified in defending themselves outside, and because they had every option to walk the fuck away from the incident, they were charged with premeditated homicide. In the state of Texas, somebody walks up to you on the street and accosts you. If you have any opportunity to get away from that person without causing severe injury to yourself or others, that is your legal obligation.
In Texas?
Gun on someone, just in Texas, yes. In any stand your ground state, you are taught when you are trained to have the gun that if you don't have to use the motherfucker, don't. Because exactly what you're saying is true. You have to prove the burden of it's the fucking burden of I can't remember what it is, but like you literally have to prove essentially without beyond a reasonable doubt that your life was in danger and that use of force was justified. Yeah. Regardless of if you think that somebody entered your car, you can shoot them. That's not how that works. If somebody entered your car and was aggressively coming at you, and you can prove that with marks on your body or your car being physically damaged, then yes, you can blow that motherfucker away. But if somebody walks up to you on the street and says, "Hey, bro, I don't like you," and shoves you, and you have the option to go fuck you and turn around and leave, if your first instinct is to draw a gun and shoot that fucking person, you shouldn't have a weapon to begin with because you're an idiot.
Yeah, I don't.
Guns carry Glock 9s. Don't even realize that a supersonic round will go straight through the person you're pissed at and right into their kids behind them.
Yeah, so
there's so many people who own guns but don't understand the subtleties to the laws, which is why gun control things are so vehemently screamed about. Is because every dumbass thinks they can go out and get a gun and just do whatever the fuck they want. Suddenly they're a big hard ass because they got a Glock in their face. No, I agree with you 100%. Carmelo absolutely would not have taken on two big-ass white dudes in a disadvantaged situation had he not been armed.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was armed gave him that fucking bricked-up feeling of, oh, I can finally do something about this. And to touch on someone else's point from earlier, even if the kid was bullied, stabbing your fucking bully isn't the answer to that. Isn't the answer to that problem. Like, I don't know why the fuck so many people justify, I'm gonna murder this motherfucker. That's the solution. Killing somebody should never be the answer to a problem. Even if somebody, look at Gandhi. That motherfucker starved for years in his country. Did he ever harm anybody? No. He changed so many things. Did not once require a gun.
Yeah, I mean...
Everyone in America thinks because I got a gun, I can solve a problem now. No, because you got a gun, you are a problem now.
Yeah.
I applaud people like you that carry and understand what carrying is, and that the fact that you own a gun, you don't have to pull it on somebody.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Hold on, hang on. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not only am I in control of my ego, but there's stories like what happened to Karmelo Anthony. Even if I absolutely had to take somebody's life, I don't feel confident the system is going to be reliable enough to see it my way. So I'm going to try my best to avoid a deadly situation. I mean, there are plenty of people who are serving time that committed an act of self-defense. That happens all the time. Plenty of innocent people that were committing an act of self-defense, and the courts didn't see it that way, are serving time.
Not at all. And the sad fact of our justice system is, yes, in the southern states, yes, in some states that are controlled by certain fucking political demographics, your skin tone is going to fuck you over 9 times out of 10. That's 100% going to happen. But there's also that judge that is 100% on your side no matter what happens. The divide comes in that all these news outlets only report on one aspect, and it whips people into a frenzy because they don't do outside research. They don't go out of their way to learn about the other people. I come from a mixed race family. I've dealt with both aspects of this shit. I've dealt with family members of mine going to prison because they were black, and family members of mine getting away with shit because they were white. Like I've definitely seen that the system is.
But do you now? You're admitting. You're admitting that the system is harder on people of color. But do you agree with some of my guests earlier saying that if you are a white male, you can just take the life of somebody black, and as long as it's not on camera, you're guaranteed to get away with it?
Absolutely not. I don't think you as a human being can take the life of another human being and it not be recorded and you not be in trouble for it. If there is any evidence that is going to be proven towards a murder, that's what justice cares about. That is what the good people who are in our justice system and are working for making our society function. And that's why our society functions the way it does, is because, yes, there is an overwhelming presence of racism and bigotry and issues within these political sects and things that control massive aspects of our life. They make the rule, right? Mm-hmm. But there are other people who work within those departments who keep it flowing the way it's supposed to. They hand out proper sentences. I believe he is guilty. He murdered somebody. He stabbed a student.
Yeah.
He could have not done that. At the very least, it sounds horrific and it sounds pussy as hell, but at the very least, he could have got punched in the face first.
That's what I said. If he had some bruises on him.
Further drive an incident to the point where he felt that he had to strike and he had to use lethal force. What's going to happen to this kid when he's released in 10 to 15 to 30 fucking years and somebody actually puts him in a position of pressure? What's his reaction going to be then? I'm going to stab every single fucking person.
Well, but let me tell you something. It's interesting you would bring that up because where he is going, that's usually the weapon of choice while you're inside. So if people are going to push him and mess with him when he's inside, is he going to start stabbing prisoners? Because that's absolutely bullying and all of that. You're guaranteed to deal with that on the inside.
He's little. He's not a big dude. He's a young dude going to a very, very, very scary, very bad fucking place. Prisoners will go through one of two things when they go to prison. They'll either reform, which happens extremely rarely because our prison system fucking sucks, or they become repeat offenders. And they already have the tick of, well, now he's got an attempted murder charge on him. So now anytime he gets...
No, you don't have attempted. You don't have attempted. He has murder.
Well, but even then, even if it was just attempted murder, even if it was a lesser charge, even if he had not killed this man, even if he had just gotten an attempted murder charge, he is now going to be treated like a potential violent criminal for the rest of his entire existence, and that is not going to help him in our society.
Yeah. I don't, like I said,
simple mistakes, thinking if they had stand their ground laws on their side, and they end up shooting somebody, they end up doing something stupid, and then they're stuck for 15 plus years with a bunch of violent, horrific people who thought their actions were also justified, breeds that mentality deeper and deeper into human beings.
So speaking of that, what type of time do you believe he should get?
Mandatory minimum. He's a young man. He did make a mistake, but he made a mistake that was based on his emotions.
So the minimum.
But I believe mandatory minimum, eligible for parole in 10 years. The parole should also, this is something our country doesn't do, but the parole should also come with mandatory counseling. He should have to go see a therapist. He should have to go find a way to function, find a way to where if somebody walks up to him and he gets nervous, his first reaction isn't to gut somebody with a fucking knife. It's to maybe run away.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I can agree with most of that. The counseling probably will be part of his program or whatever. He probably will get that mandatory minimum. I don't know what the mandatory minimum is though. I'd be curious to know what it is.
I want to say for murder it's 15. It depends on the state.
Wow. Ooh. Well, I mean, if that's what it is, shit, that's a long ass time. Well, he is super young though. For him, he'll be out before he's 40. So, I mean.
And like I said, mandatory minimum, 10, eligible for parole. You should realistically only have to do a 10-year sentence. Yes, the child lost their life, but at the same time, just like it's been presented multiple times, both them boys put themselves in that situation.
Yeah.
They chose to accost him. I'm not saying that the white kids aren't in the fucking wrong here too. Kids in general, don't be dickheads to each other. You won't get stabbed in the stomach. Like, just treat each other with respect, coexist around one another, and don't react with violence as your first fucking answer and solution. That's just stupid in general. That's lesser evolved fucking thinking. Anybody who reacts immediately with something they don't understand or fear, like spiders or snakes, if your first instinct when seeing them is to kill them, it's because you don't understand them fundamentally and you are uncomfortable with trying to do so. The same principle applies to any race of human being, any creed of human being, any type of human being. We are all the same thing.
You probably are the easiest caller I've had tonight. I gotta move it on. What is the name there? Half East. What did I say?
Half-eaten corpse.
Listen, you're welcome to come back on the show anytime. We're here most weeknights. We're on Instagram, Clapper, TikTok, Substack, and YouTube simultaneously. Appreciate you coming through, man. And I don't think you and I disagree on a lot with this one. So thank you.
No problem at all.
Appreciate it. All right. And moving on with the program, by the way, tap the screen. I'm going to ask you guys to do that. Get me on up to 115,000. Devo says that's bullshit. The bullshit. But what's the bullshit part, Devo? They spread his whole narrative about Zimmerman just that was just all bullshit. It wasn't true. There's nothing racist about Zimmerman. Bullshit. To me, Zimmerman absolutely was a racist. And then after you took somebody's life, you go post a gun you took his life with on eBay with a picture of Trayvon to let the buyers know you're buying a gun that killed Trayvon, with a bag of Skittles was on there as well. Fuck, that dude ain't racist. That dude was racist. The fact that he was on the phone with 911 saying these people always get away with it. Hey, Zimmerman was racist as hell. Hey, the idea that Zimmerman was not racist, I don't give. Somebody in the comments says Zimmerman was Hispanic. I don't give a fuck what he was. He didn't like black kids. I'll just leave it at that. He didn't like black kids. I don't care if he was black. He didn't like black kids. Zimmerman was racist as hell. And I don't even think that ain't even up for debate. His 911 call says it all. I hate it when they bring up Zimmerman. He wasn't white. Like I said, I don't care what his race is. You can be somebody who hates your own image in the mirror. Your race doesn't dictate whether or not you can be hateful or not. You can be. I don't think Clarence Thomas is a big fan of African Americans, to be honest with you. Got nothing to do with what your race is. I don't think Clarence Thomas would be very comfortable in the hood at all. I think he would be, if you took what was going on in the mind of Clarence Thomas, you wouldn't think a black man was saying it when he's around a bunch of black folks. Clarence Thomas is a perfect example of that. Except in the Zimmerman case, they couldn't get away with that in court because someone saw the whole thing. I don't know, but nobody saw anything. Zimmerman, to me, here's what I say. Because Zimmerman used the stand your ground thing. If you initiate contact, you shouldn't be able to use stand your ground. You shouldn't be. Zimmerman is chasing Trayvon Martin off into the middle of the night on the belief he's stealing something, which he's 100% wrong. And that's what we know, because Trayvon is dead, so we don't know what his side is. But based on what we know, is Zimmerman's on the phone with 911 saying they're always getting away with shit, thinking that they're breaking into the condo complex. So he chases off after Trayvon. And listening to Zimmerman, somehow they ended up in a scuffle. Trayvon had some kind of brick or something was standing over him and was trying to beat him in the head with it, and he had to shoot him and kill him in self-defense. Here's the problem. This guy's just walking through the neighborhood, committing no crimes at all, and he sees you and he just picks up a brick and starts trying to kill you for no reason at all. That made zero sense to me. What I believe happened is he thought the guy was a criminal. He went after him, caught up to him, and started making demands. Citizens arrest, you ain't going nowhere. Let me see what's in your pockets, all this kind of shit. And Trayvon had the right to say, fuck off. Somebody in the comments says Rittenhouse was acting a medic, not on defense. Rittenhouse was not. Rittenhouse committed an act of self-defense, but he wasn't acting as a medic. He has no medical training at all. And he claimed he was there trying to protect somebody's property. Then all of a sudden he turns into, he morphs into a medic. What are you, transgender medic? You're the property protector that also identifies as a medic? Or that whole situation was terrible. That dude just got lucky. That's all I can say about what the fuck is his name? Kyle Rittenhouse. He got lucky. We're not going to pretend like these racist people teaching people how to set up people to kill people, just like Chug keeps coming up. I don't have any defense for that. That, if you want to talk about a case of something that really looks like Black lives does not matter, that whole corner store, whatever this Asian guy Chug did, that's a different case. To me, what happened with Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf is nowhere near as egregious as what Chug did to that 14-year-old kid. I don't connect those two. Because in this case, to me, I believe Carmelo Anthony made some bad choices that cost him his life. That Chug case is not like that. I think in this case, Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf both made some bad choices. And it caused one of them to get killed. It caused another one to now be dealing with the system. Chow, not Chug. Yeah, Chow. Love Chow. Rittenhouse is innocent. There is footage. He was not the aggressor. I didn't say he was the aggressor. I said he committed an act of self-defense. I just said what he did was stupid. He put himself in the middle of what amounts to a war zone just because he happened to have an AR-15 on him. He did something. Guns can make people do dumb shit that they wouldn't do without the gun. Kyle Rittenhouse is not in Kenosha at that riot if he don't have that AR. He is not there. Let me go back to the box. We'll go to Pobel. Pobel is always friendly in the comments. Good evening, Pobel. Larry Love says he was looking for trouble. Come on, Kyle Rittenhouse. You don't go into that environment expecting things to be all roses and rainbows. Yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse put himself in it. What Kyle Rittenhouse did, and I totally believe based on what I've seen, Kyle Rittenhouse committed an act of self-defense. I do believe he had to defend himself. I don't believe he had to be there, is what I'm saying. For all I know, if what George Zimmerman said is true, George Zimmerman may have committed an act of self-defense. But he put himself in that situation. He didn't have to be there. Kyle Rittenhouse did not have to be there. He didn't have any property there. He wasn't there protecting family or anything. You just gonna volunteer to put yourself in a war zone to protect some other dude's property? And then the dude is in court testifying, I didn't even ask him to do that. Yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse felt empowered by that long rifle and put himself in a dangerous situation that almost cost him his life and almost cost him his freedom afterwards. East Side, good evening. Kyle was in another state he didn't even, everything about what Kyle Rittenhouse did was stupid. I guarantee Kyle Rittenhouse wouldn't do that again and probably would even admit, yeah, what I did was not smart. East Side, good evening.
Hey, how you doing?
I don't know on this one, man. You heard about the verdict?
Yeah.
Give me your take.
I've been following since last year. Well, you know, I just think I heard you say, why didn't he just leave? And I think this is where I just get disgusted. Why didn't Rosa Parks just get up? Why didn't she just get up instead of having people commute and they fixing lunches and they not catching the bus? Why didn't Rosa Parks just simply get up instead of that white man having to yell, having to stop the bus? Why didn't Rosa Parks simply just get up and all of this stuff would have been avoided? Why didn't them black kids that sat at that restaurant and got that food thrown on them and they told them, listen, all you got to do is get up and get out? Why did they sit there?
So based on what you're saying, if Rosa Parks had a knife in her purse, she should have shanked the cop because she didn't want to get up.
Here's the big picture. She stayed there and didn't have a knife. See, that's the big picture. See, it was I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
If Carmelo Anthony had did what you're talking about, notice when Rosa Parks and the sit-ins during the MLK eras, none of them decided if they try to make us leave this restaurant, we're going to kill these motherfuckers. All of them did it in a non-violent way. Carmelo Anthony decided to murder the people that were fucking with him. If Martin Luther King, hold on. If Martin Luther King, wait a minute. I'll give you plenty of time. If Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks that you mentioned, if they had took the Carmelo Anthony's route, they wouldn't be Rosa Parks and Carmelo Anthony.
They were that you coming from at that time. If we want to talk about a docile type mind state of people, there was who was violent at that time. Black people. Shit. That's all they knew was to hum and sing and stand together and to come out with they get dogs sick on them. They got hit with fire hoses. They got hit with batons. So what do they know?
And Rod in the comments is right. They would be Nat Turner. Yep, they would be Nat Turner if they had done that. That is true. Same outcome with Nat Turner. Go ahead.
But they did do that. They did use fire hoses. They did sick dogs.
No. That ain't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you're facing insurmountable odds, sometimes it's better to not let your ego put you in a bad situation. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, now let's go to the case in law. Let's go to, because I'm trying to figure out how much of this are you basing on feelings or how much of this is you understand and comprehend the law.
A lot of it is on feelings. I'll admit a lot of it is on feelings.
Okay, great. So let's try to get to the law. So I'm just giving Jordan versus the state of Texas. The court emphasized you can defend against apparent danger as reasonably perceived, not only actual danger. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand that. But you also got to convince a jury that your perception of this great danger was legitimate, was reasonable.
And here we go. The courts have held over and over again. I cannot tell somebody what they believe danger is in that situation.
So you wait, hold on. So you're telling me, let's say for instance, I'm married to a chick, I'm 6'6". Let's say I'm married 300 pounds. I'm married to a Jada Pinkett or something, or Ronda Rousey or something. Let's take Ronda Rousey. She can fight. And I go ahead and plunge a blade in her chest because I'm telling the courts, my perception was she was a grave danger to me. They're not going to buy that. They're not going to buy that.
Well, technically, then you would be incorrect because we have footage of Ronda Rousey.
They're still not going to buy it.
Abilities and capabilities of the things that she's able to do. So now we're going to turn to you, and we're going to say, well, 6'6", 305. What do?
You couldn't leave.
How many fights have you been in?
You couldn't get out. You couldn't get out of there.
Wait a minute. What do you know about a grappling technique?
It's Ronda Rousey. It doesn't matter.
We know. Listen. We know what Ronda Rousey is. She literally trains every day. She has the title.
Her face can still be caved in. We saw Amanda Nunes kick her in the face and she fell down. I don't care what grappling technique she know.
It becomes reasonable. It would become reasonable then that I can understand why you, the person that has to deal with this, I can understand then why you in your head may have formed some type of opinion or analysis that says, I'm not coming out of here a winner.
Look, if a guy my size, no, it's not gonna happen. If a guy my size is married to a trained fighter like Ronda Rousey, and I actually plunge a knife in her chest, I do not agree with you that the courts are going to say, yeah, she's trained. We understand why you saw it as a threat. I mean, big as I'm significantly larger than her.
But that's the thing. That's not how it goes. It's all, we have to dig into what you, tell me what we know about Karmelo. How much of a fighter is Karmelo Anthony? How many fights has he been in?
We don't know that.
How much has he trained? Here's what we do know about Austin Hunter. He took jiu-jitsu. He's got pictures posted with AR-15s. He's also Greco wrestle. And he plays football. And he works out. That's what we do know.
Okay.
So when it's the law. I don't know about Daniel Covington. His mother works for a law firm in New York. His daddy is the principal at one of the schools here in Lexington. His son jumped out. Daniel Covington was 6'3", about 235. He did triathlon stuff.
Okay.
So he's built. His 235 is 235 muscle, solid. He went to the University of Louisville. He gets into it with a white boy. The white boy says, "Nigga, you ain't gonna do nothing." Daniel said, "What you call me?" He said, "Nigga, you ain't gonna do nothing to me." Daniel jumps out, goes in. The white boy pulls out the pistol. Boom, boom, boom. Guess what? Self-defense. Daniel never laid a hand on him. He didn't even get to. See how it works? Because he perceived. That's what the law. There's the color of there's the letter of law, and then there's the color of law, as described by Clarence Thomas. And I heard you talk about that. Now I don't like Clarence Thomas either, but the man is technically brilliant, and that's what he deals with, the color of law. And that's when you take the circumstances. It's not about reading Penal Code 9.0-3. It's about taking the law and able to put it all together.
Well, my point is simple. My point is simple. You cannot trust the law to always do what you think or even what it should do. Therefore, do not this unnecessary or this optional stand your ground shit. I can't endorse it.
But here's what you're doing, and here's what you're saying. You're not saying, and this is what you need to say when you say that, because this is what it really is. When you're black, the law's not going to do
I've said that.
What it does.
I have said that.
You said that?
Yes.
Because that's how I'm hearing is, I wouldn't.
No, I made it clear. I said this. I even said the death penalty is given more to blacks, women, and poor people. I said the statistical probability that if you're a minority of having an adverse outcome is greater. I've said it many times. I have said that.
Okay. And so it's saying that, what is the point of any of it? Why are we, as black people, even dealing with these people? Why are our kids going to Division I college programs?
That's
Go
a
to
difference.
the
Because they're pursuing money. Because they're pursuing wealth.
Yeah. Well, here's the catch. Once the number ones go to, if they start going, Nike and them's coming. That's
a different argument, though. That's a different argument. I don't disagree with you.
I didn't want to go down there, but I was just saying.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
I heard Quinn earlier. Our kids are not safe around white men and white children.
I don't believe that.
I do. That's what I'm saying. He's right, because they're manipulative. They're manipulative. They are
You know how many African Americans have went to? That's crazy. You know how many African Americans have went to all white schools and universities in all white towns, and nothing happened to them.
Yeah, but I think it's time to stop. It's just time. Like it's the.
What do you mean by not safe?
Well, because like you said, like Quinn was saying, our kids are not safe because they manipulate shit so bad.
That's crazy.
You Cyrus, the man got ran down 100. The little youngster got ran down 130 yards, and they said, "Oh, he had a strap," but you didn't know that when you ran him down 130 yards. So that shouldn't even be in place.
Yeah, but you're using that. You're using that one case with Chow or whatever the hell his name is. You guys are. Yeah, you guys are. Hold on. You guys are using that case as if an Asian can pop a young African American in any city or state in America and have the same outcome what he had in that case. I mean, sometimes you do encounter a racist judge or a racist jury. That ain't guaranteed to happen, and he could do that anywhere in America.
How about this? If you are a black man in South Carolina, this is what you face. How about that? How many black people live in South Carolina that have to have to understand that that's their reality?
So you believe that any white man or Asian in that case, that's inside. But wait a minute, but so let me make sure you agree with my other guest. Do you believe that a white person can take the life of a black person, and as long as it's not on camera, they're guaranteed to get away with it?
Yes.
That is crazy.
5.321 seconds, tenths of a second, Superman flash speed. Yes. Wow. I said it before you even said it. That's what I'm talking about.
That is crazy.
We're not safe around. There's no safe. You constantly have to keep your head on a swivel. I don't care how cool they are. You constantly got to keep your head on a swivel.
Yet the overwhelming majority of African Americans that are murdered is at the hands of another black man. But we're talking about the white guys where we're not safe around.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about us and what we do versus what they're doing. Okay. Now, when you kick in my door, right? You know what I'm saying? We're going through our Zulu and Zulus and Yaya.
Don't wait. Before you keep in mind, I do differentiate between white men and the cops. If you go to the cops, now I'm more on your side. We're talking about citizens, though.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. As black people, we go through what we go through, but at least we can handle it amongst ourselves. At least like now, right? There was a situation.
Handle it amongst yourself. What do you mean we can handle it amongst ourselves? Our neighborhoods, there are plenty of black neighborhoods where there are no white men in sight, and they're some of the most dangerous neighborhoods you can be in for black people.
But wait a minute. Just pause.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that amongst ourselves, right? There's a situation where at that time between 2017 and 19, where the pew-pews was going way up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's because of situational things that was going on. You got my man, I'm going to get yours, you got him, and now retaliation. He kept going back and forth, but now it's came to a point where everybody said, okay, you know what? Look, you stay over there, I'm going to stay here. We took our losses, you take your losses, and now you see the rates going down. Because that's been a lot of us, like I know here that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like people had to accept losses and say, we're not going to do this no more. we can do that without having to feel like I'm telling you my side of the story, and you're just telling me that I'm crazy or that I'm lying.
I don't understand the point you're making here.
Well, what I'm saying is, when you go to the court, like you're basically saying, Melo told you I was defending myself.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that he wasn't.
I'm saying that his side did not present a case that was believable to the jury.
How? Let's talk about what they did here. What did you hear? You heard that he was approached by two people that he didn't really acquaint himself with, was minding his business, and all of a sudden they telling him that he got to leave after he was invited by EP.
But you're making it sound like this dude was just an innocent victim getting beat up on two people. There's also testimony that he told him, if you hit me again, you're gonna see what happens. He made threats too. Or if you punch me or something, if you push me, he got pushed and he said if you punch me or something to the point where he made a threat to them as well.
Now you're saying it's a threat. So FAFO is a threat.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, so keep on playing with me. You're gonna see. All of them are threats now. All of a sudden in 2026, them are threats.
Well, let me put it this way. The fact that if you got time, hold on. If you got time to say all that shit, it makes it clear you're not getting your ass beat and you're not being cornered. If you feel empowered to make those statements, it's clear you could walk away. It's clear you're not being beat up at the time. It's clear you are down to fight when you make that statement.
Yeah, I'm telling you, leave me the fuck alone, because that's all I ever remember. I'm 49. I was born in 1977. All I remember is that was the way for you to tell a motherfucker, all right now, don't fuck with me, leave me alone.
It still is.
When did it become a threat?
The point is, the point I'm trying to make with you is, it's pretty clear based on those words that he got into an optional conflict. He was okay with the conflict. He's staring the conflict in the face and making it clear that I'm willing to go where this conflict goes. He got into an optional conflict.
Why does Karmelo got to be the bitch and just adhere to what Austin said?
No, the dead guy should have. The dead guy should have also done it.
But the dead guy didn't. That's the point.
That's
the
why
dead
one
guy
and that's
decided. The dead guy decided, I'm going to show you who runs this. When I say get up and go, it means you have to go. Now, why should I adhere to that?
Because you don't want to be like this. As what did the black sheep say? You can get with this or you can get with that. You don't want to adhere to what they. So now you're in this situation.
What does the law say? If I believe I am in imminent danger, that's what the law says.
You got to present your case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay, so that doesn't matter. Okay.
No, it does matter. It does matter, but you got to present your claim that you were in an imminent bodily harm threat at that level. You got to present your case beyond a reasonable doubt. He failed to do that.
And the whole point of self-defense is defending yourself. So why didn't Karmelo get on the stand? Because how can anybody else tell my story better than me?
I agree with you 100% there.
And I do agree with you. I'm angry. When I read that, I got so angry. But you do realize George Zimmerman did take a stand. Am I wrong?
George Zimmerman is a murderer. I think in George Zimmerman's case, the courts overcharged him. I don't think he should have been charged with murder one, because I don't think it was premeditated. Just like in this case, this guy was not a murder one kind of guy. To me, that's why some folks are saying he's going to win on appeal, because they overcharged him as well. I think both of those cases. Go.
Yeah, and you always give self-defense because it's only your story. Because you notice Hunter didn't take the stand. See, dummies in the chat, in the chat, they thinking, man, he knew he would convict himself. No,
but let me ask you something. Is it possible you could think somebody's trying to really harm you and be wrong? I mean, if you perceive that me or somebody else is really about to pose great bodily harm to you, is it guaranteed that you're going to be right about that? Because he didn't get hit. He don't have any marks on him or anything. He did this before any harm was done to him at all.
But I'm free from prosecution from someone that I have not harmed. I don't need to be prosecuted by anyone
Well, he's not somebody who have not harmed somebody. He murdered somebody. He did kill somebody.
No. Let's go to you're talking about because you got to go to the mind state of right then and there. I'm saying I shouldn't be prosecuted. You know, if somebody,
I don't know why you believe that. I don't know why you believe cops. Hold on, I'll tell you something. Police officers have been prosecuted because they thought a danger existed that didn't. There are cops that have Amar Diallo, whatever, or not. What was his name? The guy that was in the car with his wife or his girlfriend, and the baby was in the back, and they thought he was reaching in the glove compartment for it. I mean, cops make a mistake and perceive crime or perceive threats that don't exist, and they get in trouble with it.
He did nothing happen to him. What happened to him? He got sentenced.
I don't know what happened to him, but I know the family ended up having to be paid out a lot of money behind that.
Let's go back. Yeah, they got okay. Let's go back to South Carolina again. Remember when the cop flamed the dude in the back that was running away from him, and
he did 20 years. He's doing 20 years for that.
Who is the cop?
The cop that shot that guy in the back a bunch of times. Yeah, he got 20 years for that.
He did get 20. I thought he beat it, but did he initially beat it though?
No, he got. Well, I don't know what. Initially, he got 20 for that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got 20 for that. Well, but the video makes it. You can clearly see this is a heavy-set guy running, and he's getting shot in the back like 7 or 8 times. And the cop didn't do nothing, but just kind of just stood there, peacefully took out his pistol and shot this guy in the back a bunch of times. There's no way you're gonna get a fear for your life out of that. He got 20 for that.
Okay, good. So
but the point I'm making is simple. You got to be able to illustrate or orate why you saying you felt for your life, and you showing up to court with not a mark on you, and you're saying that you felt for your life. They didn't have no weapons or anything.
But again, and this goes to what the Jordan versus the state of Texas. You know, emphasize you can defend against apparent danger as reasonably perceived, not only the actual danger.
Yeah, but you got to be able to present a case of why you perceive that threat.
Yeah, you're right. Now you're right. But the other witness testified that they formed a U shape around Karmelo. They formed like a U shape. They all got upset. Karmelo was still sitting down. That's on the defense witness testimony. Although I feel like they should have put Karmelo on the stand to corroborate that.
I'll tell you what's really hurt. I'll tell you what's really hurting him. I got to move it on, but I'll tell you what's really hurting him. The fact that nobody threw a punch, he don't have a mark on him at all. And he's saying, I thought these people were going to kill me. Which is why I asked you. There are people, just like police officers do it all the time. There are people who perceive very lethal threats, and they are wrong about that.
I told you, Daniel Cook.
Yeah, and Carmelo Anthony may be one of those too.
It's Carmelo. That I believe, from what I read, with the medical examiner report, that he was over top of him and he fell into the night. I don't think it was.
Oh no! Really? Oh no! He fell into the knife.
No, because he's coming towards him. Like it's one thing to like say okay, hold on.
Real quick, I gotta move it on. Real quick, state your case. I think this is crazy, but go ahead, real quick.
Okay, well, never mind.
All right.
I just feel like, we are.
He had a way out. I'll leave it at that. He had a way out. Appreciate it, Eastside, though. He had a way out. To me, like I said, people perceive lethal lethal threats that may include great bodily harm. People wrongfully perceive or believe they're in grave danger all the time. People do get it wrong. So if you get it wrong, you don't get to still, kill somebody because, I thought I was, that's kind of what the cops sometimes do get away with. Well, all they got to say is, I was in fear for my life. But if the video or something shows that you had no reason to believe that, you're probably not going to get away with it. And as a citizen, the level of accountability is even higher than it is with cops. I had a chick follow my dick Super 8. He was going in that direction with that. We're like, oh, really? You fell on the knife up. I think it was a freak accident. I don't think he knew he was going to jab him in the heart, says Bass Boogie. I think he probably could have done just as, I think Carmelo Anthony could have been just as effective if he just brandished that knife. Because I feel fairly confident that Austin Metcalf and his brother and the rest of them didn't know he had the knife. It sounds like Carmelo Anthony basically said, you're going to fuck around and find out. And when he came up with the knife, he was using it already. So I think if he had a brandished the knife, they would have probably stopped fucking with him. I don't know. This didn't have to happen. I really think there are plenty of errors. There's a comedy of errors here. Both sides fucked up. Both sides did. And Eastside, yeah, the idea that Carmelo Anthony didn't testify, I don't know if this coming back to bite him, but to me, there's a lot of unanswered questions. If he's being bullied by them consistently, I think that makes a better case for Carmelo Anthony, where you can show they were fucking with me in class, or last Sunday we had a game, they were fucking. I mean, you can show a consistent case of it. That's one thing. But if it looks like y'all just had a skirmish this one time and you hauled off and killed the guy, not so much. Teach these kids the golden rule and hands off, says Plug. Look, that ain't never gonna happen. That didn't happen in our day. It ain't happening now. It's just now hands on can have deadly consequences. When we were going to school, nobody got killed from this shit. Nobody ever done that stuff. You never heard anybody take things to lethality based on a fight. And there were kids who did really get fucked up in fights. Some people really did get their ass genuinely beat, stitches and everything. Nobody ever came back with their dad's 22 or something and came back blasted. That stuff didn't happen when we were, Gen X generation. We didn't do that crazy shit. Y'all sound like Klansmen. We're not safe around them. Good grief, says We the Rappy. I don't buy into that. I just don't buy into that. Listen, there's a lot of middle class and upscale African Americans that have moved into white neighborhoods. And the way they make it sound, they're safer there than they were in the hood where they came from. Look, how many times have you heard stuff like people say like folks like Tupac or Biggie? Like, you making all that money, you can't keep hanging around those same folks. They're not saying Tupac was wrong to keep hanging around white people. They're talking about you should have knew to stop hanging around that crowd. I don't believe that you're not safe around white people. I just totally disagree with that, because there's literally millions of examples out there. Millions of. Now, I don't believe you're safe hoping the justice system is fair to you. I'll agree with that. But you're going to tell me that, and I've had a lot of guests say this tonight, that a Caucasian can kill an African American, and as long as it ain't on video, they are guaranteed. I made sure I threw that word in there, guaranteed to get away with it. A lot of guests said yes. That is flat out false. There's not been a single case on First 48 of a Caucasian taking the life of a black person. Just good old old-fashioned detective work. There's a lot of cases that are solved that have nothing to do with being caught on video. Fingerprints, DNA, eyewitness testimony. No white person has ever killed a black person and got convicted that way. Always has to be on video. You can state and agree that in 2026 racism is still real without taking it to some insane level, such as saying that a white person is guaranteed to be able to kill blacks and get away with it. I do not believe that. I do not believe that. That's true, Tim. They will never publicly admit or acknowledge that. Step 1, don't carry concealed weapons to high school event. Step 2, don't get into fights while carrying concealed weapons. Step 3, don't stab somebody. There is a step 4 in there. Don't fuck with other people, which would be delivered to the deceased as well. Because while I don't favor anything Carmelo Anthony did to address this threat, there was some actions from the other side. This is not a case where Austin Metcalf and his brother and all of them were just sitting there and this dude just came up shanking people. No, they were fucking with him. There was some back and forth. Both of these parties could have backed off at any time. If Carmelo Anthony leaves, this doesn't happen. If Austin Metcalf does not tell this man where he can and can't sit on property that is not his, Austin Metcalf is still here today. Both of these men did things to put themselves in that predicament. One is dealing with the justice system. The other one is in the ground. They've been killing blacks for centuries, Tim. Why can't you admit that? Because that's not the era we're in now. You want me to say, you want me to try to make it sound like there's no difference between 2026 and 1926? By the way, Stick the Ruler came on the show before and did say that. Said we have made no progress since 1926. But it is what it is. Let me go back to the show. Tap the screen, help you boy out with the hat and mustache, TikTok cap goes. Maybe I've been on too long. Maybe that's what it is, because some of you folks are. But, the idea for folks to try to indicate we've made no progress, I've had people say that. No progress since 1926. You can agree that racism still is real without going, into this ridiculous era of there's no progress been made in the last 100 years. I think that's where you could lose a lot of credibility saying crazy shit like that. Racism will always be alive. You just got to get down with who you get down with and fuck all the haters. It ain't that easy, Moach man. Black Wall Street is a perfect example where you say get down with who you get down with and fuck all the haters. That's what Black Wall Street did. They're treating us like shit. We're going to develop our own stuff. Fuck all the haters. They came into their neighborhood because they were jealous of how successful they were getting and burned all this shit down and killed hundreds of people. So, I'm going to say this flat out, just like you're seeing with Venezuela and Cuba and other countries. If we figure out a way to be successful in our own right, they're going to figure out zoning and laws and things like that to stop that. Because if the minority community in America figures out a way to be successful, it's going to hurt the sales and financial success of the majority community. And because the majority community controls the laws in government, they're going to start passing laws to prevent you from doing certain things. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we can admit racism still exists without going off the deep end. But yeah, if African Americans started saying there's too many racist white folks out here, so we're going to develop our own businesses and we're going to start doing our own shit. We'll start, exporting goods to certain countries. They're going to start saying, well, they'll pass a law, you can't export with these certain, you're getting too fucking rich. They are going to do stuff to you. That will happen. I don't believe for a second that would not happen. What happened with Black Wall Street would absolutely happen again today if you had a group doing stuff like that. I absolutely believe that. Carmelo should have worn a body cam. Should have just left. Period. Should have just left. I feel sympathy for both families. They both lost. True. Actually, Austin Metcalf's family lost significantly more than Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony will get out. And he won't be my age when he gets out. Carmelo Anthony will get out and remain a free man probably for the remaining 30, 40 years of his life or more. He will get out. He's not going to spend the rest of his life in jail for this. Austin Metcalf ain't ever coming back. So Austin Metcalf their family lost out more in this. So it is what it is. There will be a day when this is behind Carmelo Anthony. It just ain't no time soon. Yeah, we have to keep putting our heads down and walk away. What happened to the blue suit, white shirt, and red tie? He fell asleep at a Knicks game. I'll go ahead and leave it at that. Some of you guys have gotten lazy, all of that shit, and you know how the program works. It is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Feel free to subscribe, or better yet, support the program or follow the program if you're watching this on TikTok, Instagram, Substack, or Clapper. Give us a sub if you're watching this on YouTube. Want to make sure I didn't. Rest in peace, Stacey King. Yeah, that's sad. That is real sad. The announcer that used to call the Bulls games, excellent guy. I mean, he was obviously part of the Jordan era as well. I think he got 3 rings, but yeah, that was real sad to hear Stacey King passed away. the names, the nicknames he had, the jokes he had. He called games in a way that ain't gonna be replaced by the Bulls anytime soon. They're not gonna be able to replace that guy. He was just a unique sports announcer. It's just real sad. That was one that's a cutting onions moment, to be honest with you, when I heard about that. No one was talking about racism 10 years ago. Trump came in the office and everybody went stupid. Are you fucking crazy? Nobody was talking about racism in 2016. The right was claiming that Obama brought racism back. Plenty of people were. What do you mean nobody was complaining about racism in 2016? You got to be crazy with that one. Alter Ego, appreciate you with the galaxy. Thank you very much. Anyhow, nobody was talking about racism. I can't believe you said something like that. In 2016, really, when Trump was on the scene, by the way, that's when Trump had just came on the scene with the whole rapists and murderers and Muslim bans and all of that. That's when Trump was at his apex, when he was just coming down the golden escalator. All that shit was going on. It was plenty of that going on. Big Dog, appreciate the hat mustache. A Mexican boy got poked in Texas a few years ago and nobody cared. And thank you, Alter Ego. You make your boy feel loved when you support the program like this. It doesn't make you want to feel wanted. Thank you very much, because we don't always see that. So thank you, Alter Ego. It's your boy Tim the Handsome Liver. You guys have a good night. Hopefully this guy, we will hear more about this. There will be an appeal. I'm hoping that there is no rioting. I don't think it's going to be. This isn't George Floyd, or this is not a case of, not even the child case, to me, is more riot worthy. I don't know how you could chase somebody that ain't even stealing out of your store, well over 100 yards the length of a football field down the street and pop a 14-year-old kid in the back and be found not guilty. To me, that is riot worthy. At the very least, his store, I wouldn't have any issue if he happened to become a victim of arson behind that. There's no way in hell a kid should lose their life under that situation. Even if he was actually stealing from the store, you shouldn't be able to do that. But this case, there was nothing there. Somebody say he stole water. Whatever. You chased a kid down the street with a gun over some store merchandise. Yeah, that dude was wrong every day of the week. And the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf case is not that case. People keep bringing up the child case. That is considerably more egregious, in my opinion, than what happened with Carmelo Anthony. Those are not the same cases. I don't even see a lot of similarity in between them. I just don't. I don't know. I'd have to literally go back and read the transcripts and listen to that case. I don't see how the hell he got off with that. That is terrible. So that one is different. Anyhow, it's your boy Tim the Handsome Number. We'll be talking about this again in the future. You guys take care. Have a good night. And thank you folks on YouTube as well. I'm out.